Good morning and welcome to our October 21st, 2025 Board of County Commission meeting. We are delighted that you've joined us this morning. Please join us for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, which is going to be led by Deputy Rhys Heater. Please join us for a moment of silence. Thank you. Is Deputy Heater with us this morning? Would you please come forward? Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yes, ma'am. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you tell us a bit about your career, sir?
Sure. My name's Rhys Heater. It's an honor to be here. I was a scout in the Army for a little over 8 years. I've got roughly 26 months in combat between Iraq and Afghanistan. And I'm actually in a documentary it's on Amazon Prime. It's called The Hornet's Nest. And I get interviewed and do some missions with the camera guys. And so got out of the military, moved down here, and been with Martin County Sheriff's Office for a little over 9 years. Loving every minute of it.
We're lucky to have you. Thank you very much. Now we have a special treat this morning. We're going to have a presentation by Radiant Voices. Yes. And by the way, that was the most enthusiastic Pledge of Allegiance I've ever experienced.
Me too.
These days my heart always on the run. These days the world's spinning out of control. Oh, these days it's fast and furious. Feels like the world is ahead of us all. Oh, sometimes it's hard to feel at home, but
I believe that you and I are in the right place at the right time. God called us by name. He doesn't make mistakes. I believe we're born to shine bright in the dark world. Be the sunlight, don't have to be afraid. Maybe we were made for these days. Maybe we were made for these days.
Irregularities and crimes, lost your hope and the silence. Oh, oh. What is it more than a destiny? Why are we a part of a masterpiece? Oh, whoa. Until our Father bring us home.
I believe that you and I are in the right place at the right time. God called us by name. He doesn't make mistakes. I believe we're born to shine bright in the dark world. Be the sunlight, don't have to be afraid. Maybe we were made for these days. Maybe we were made for these days.
Sometimes it's hard, loving open arms, something to embrace. Maybe we are made for these days.
already. Call me a same.
Connie, pull down the mic.
Good morning. My name is Kayla Pitt.
What? My name Chris Christina Frost.
We
No, Christina.
We
Work.
work at yes right you want and store.
our jobs are to white menus, white tables, salt and pepper shakers, ketchup bottles, and other things on the table.
We also will say will
Good job.
We work because we want to get a paycheck.
we
Want
want to be able to buy Starbucks.
We want to go grocery shopping for things. We want.
okay now together.
Thank you for hearing my voice.
The voice.
Good morning. My name is Katie Rodriguez. I work at the Olive Garden restaurant. My jobs are rolling silverware, getting the menus to the hostess, cleaning tables for the customers to use, putting away the dishes, silverware, and napkins, taking all the trash and dishes from the tables so other customers can use them. I need to work so I can go out with friends, and I want to live on my own.
Katie's an enthusiastic singer, too.
Hello, my name is Jesse Medeiros. I work at Do It With. My job is to organize and stack files that go into the scene to be first and neighbors. Where are the files and books with this home I moved to work with? I were to buy flowers for my girlfriend, Carly Kister.
Nice job.
Yeah. You come down and do pictures now?
Or do you want to, can you,
Yeah,
you want to
they
file
call-
in here and we'll stand
Right.
behind you?
All right, I'll go in there.
Just like you are, the back row in the back.
Crystal, come up front. You come to the front. The tall ones are gonna go to the back. Because then y'all are gonna be.
Scooch together.
Come on now, watch me suit it.
Come on.
It matches your outfit. Okay. There's no sugar in that. Some soda.
Talk right next to Crystal.
Okay, you squeeze it.
Keep scooting. Keep coming in.
Over, guys.
There you go. Scoot.
Amanda, move down a little bit. There you go. Matthew, move down. Katie, move down.
We'll take her out.
Christina, look, there we go.
Get her out.
Tall guy in the back. He's tall. Yeah. Honor. All right.
Katie.
She's been quiet.
Here they are, everybody. Yeah. Crazy guy.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Connie, don't go far.
I have a proclamation for you. Thank you. Thank you so much. You did a beautiful job. I remember that.
We would also like to take this opportunity to present you with a proclamation recognizing National Disability Employment Awareness Month in Martin County, Florida.
Good morning, everyone. That was wonderful. October 2025 is the 80th anniversary of National Disability Employment Awareness Month, and its purpose is to educate about disability employment issues and celebrate the many and varied contributions of America's workers with disabilities. The board urges all citizens to recognize this month by bringing together businesses and partners to break down the barriers faced by individuals with disabilities who are working or seeking employment, helping improve the quality of life for all. And obviously, Connie is here to accept with all of her wonderful folks.
Thank you. Connie, would you like to say a few words?
Oh my goodness, you're gonna open the floor to me?
I am. Pleasure.
Okay, well, my mouth will probably carry you. I'm a retired educator. Most of these guys were in my classroom when they were in high school, and my goal for every one of my students was work, because that's quality of life. That's where your social life is. There's just so much revolves around going to work, and it's important that all these guys learn how to work. So that's why I think this month is very important, because I don't think the employers out there really recognize the talents and abilities that these guys have, and they learn those things through school and through their work environment, and it's great. You guys that have a job, let's see your hands up. They didn't speak today? Okay. At work now, because work is more important than singing. That paycheck is pretty important. Yes. Okay, thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Connie Dane,
All
famous.
right, guys.
Oh, maybe that's it.
Okay, then we can go.
Thank you. Very nice to meet you.
I need a pocket knife or something.
Oh, very nice.
No, that's
Nice singing.
Thank you very much.
Oh, great.
yeah. I don't want to see you pass.
That sounds very cool. I think you should do that.
No, they're regular.
Hi. Thank you. You did such a nice job. Goodbye. Bye, Daniela. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you.
Yes. Here's your paper.
Bye-bye.
Bag. You can have it. You're done, though. You don't need it. Okay.
Keep up the good work. Thank you. Very nice to see you. Thank you for coming to visit us. Oh, really? In Martin County? Wonderful. Wow, terrific. Now where do you work? You'll get a job soon. Thank you. Okay, great. There are lots of inspiring people in our midst.
Absolutely.
The next proclamation is a proclamation declaring Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Martin County, Florida.
Domestic violence is a serious, widespread issue that affects individuals in every community, regardless of age, race, income, or education level, and leaves a lasting impact on survivors, families, and communities. With Survivors Always is the theme for Domestic Violence Awareness Month 2025, uniting communities nationwide and here on the Treasure Coast in standing with survivors. The board encourages all residents to join Safe Space in supporting survivors, honoring their courage, and committing to end domestic violence. And here to accept, we have Jennifer Fox, CEO.
Good morning.
Good morning, commissioners and community members. Is this okay?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm Jennifer Fox, the CEO of Safe Space, and on behalf of Safe Space and everyone standing with me today and survivors of domestic violence, I want to thank you for recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. This proclamation sends a powerful message to survivors across our community that says you are not alone. Domestic abuse can be found in every neighborhood, workplace, and school, yet survivors feel very alone. Every statistic represents a person, a parent, a child, or a neighbor who deserves to be safe in their own home. Safe Space is the only certified domestic violence center serving St. Lucie, Indian River, and Martin counties. And just to give you a little bit of an idea, our crisis hotline averages between 250 and 275 crisis calls every month. Last year, we provided a variety of services to 891 survivors of domestic violence, and 165 of those were children. 378 people stayed in our safe homes, and we provided legal advocacy and representation in court to 359 survivors in our community. So we're talking about almost 900 people last year. 900 people who found us, and 900 people who are safer because of the support of this community. This year's Domestic Violence Awareness theme, Safety, Support, and Solidarity, reminds us that everyone has a role to play. Safety means making sure survivors have a place to turn 24 hours a day. Support means listening without judgment and connecting friends, family, or colleagues to resources. Solidarity means standing together, wearing purple, raising awareness, and making sure the survivors know this community is with them. We do want to invite the community to get involved throughout the month of November. So to learn more about our events, the services we provide, or ways to help, please visit our website at safespacefl.org or follow us on social media. So thank you again today. Thank you for using your platform to shine a light on this issue and for standing with Safe Space and survivors of domestic violence.
Nancy, you be in that picture. Do it. Nancy. Come on, Nancy. Yeah. There it is.
Thank you all.
Those pictures will be on sale on the county's website later today. For sale. You did a nice job.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move approval of the agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. We'll now take public comments. If you would like to speak to us, please fill out a request to speak form, hand it to the bailiff, who will get it to us. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Arthur Rink would like to speak on public hearing number 1. Is that true? Yes. Or now? Okay. Jesse Fulton is next, followed by Christopher Corey. Please come forward. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Please proceed.
My name is Christopher Corey. I help run the nonprofit at 6155 Southwest Layton Farm Ave. I came here today, actually, I was out of town 2 weeks ago when you guys voted on the gate on Layton Farm, and I came down here just to say thank you, actually, because it wasn't there. And I think that the decision you made showed an incredible amount of common sense. That road is very safe for the kids, being a dead-end road. And, you know, with that gate, I'm not an engineer or lawyer or anything, but the trucks, they just see that gate, right? And they keep going, and God bless them. They have a job to do. And the problem is we already had one incident. You know, thankfully, I mean, it's not great, but thankfully it was a dog. And if that gate opens, it won't be an if, it'll be a when. It's a kid, right? We've never had an incident with a kid. You know, knock on wood, God bless. But it will. It's just too dangerous to do that. And I just wanted to say thank you again. You know, the work we do out there is incredibly meaningful to me, and I believe to the community. We have 5 or 6 of our members that live in that community, I think specifically so they could be closer to the facility. And I just, you know, again, was touched by the decision you made to help keep it safe. And I wanted to come say thank you. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Jesse Fulton here?
Sir, you might want to stay for a little while longer.
People want to speak about it.
Yeah, I'm going to.
And following Mr. Fulton is Justin Andre Lamoureux. Good morning.
Thank you, Commissioners. So I'm here, as you know, following Mr. Corey. With respect, we represent Jacob Community Center LLC, and thank you again for your decision last week. I'm actually here because we kind of heard a rumor that there could potentially be some individuals from Meadow Run showing up in order to address the determination that was made by the board last week. First, I just want to raise a procedural matter. This was not duly noticed. Therefore, we did not really have an opportunity to prepare. If there are going to be testimonials provided, things like that, we would just suggest to the board that this is just an improper. Not to mention, there are legal questions that could be raised, and this just is not the proper vehicle for that at this time. I don't need to reiterate what you already know concerning what was addressed last week. As you know, Commissioner or Chair Hurd, you had emphasized that this approved site plan already existed. You expressed concern as to whether that Meadow Run was already using this gate, having full knowledge of these restrictions. Commissioner Hetherington, you had cited the increased traffic and issues in the ongoing violations that they continued to violate that were not being addressed. You noted also, that rightfully, as to the magistrate creating this exception, which ended up being violated ultimately. Commissioner Capps, you had also recognized that the main entrance could be modified to handle large vehicles, and you questioned whether the North Gate could serve instead. Both valid options available. And Commissioner Campy, you had concluded Meadow Run should just redesign the main entrance. It's less expensive, and all the owners purchased this with full knowledge as to the access restrictions when they got into this development. So again, we're just asking that you deny the rehearing request and stand by your prior decision. We appreciate all that you've done, and we look forward to continued cooperation with you both. Thank you.
Thank you. Justin Andre Lamoureux is next, followed by Matthew Height.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Chair and County Attorney, my name is Justin Andre Lamoureux. I reside in Port St. Lucie. I'm here today as the father of Daniel Hunter Lamoureux to place on the public record a written notice and demand for investigation and referral that I am submitting to the clerk and the county attorney's office for inclusion in today's official minutes. The notice concerns official misconduct and the continuing refusal to enforce a Georgia custody order, a valid judgment entitled to full faith and credit under Article 4, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution and the Parental Kidnapping Prevention Act. Over 5 years, Martin County officials have declined to give effect to that Georgia decree, resulting in the ongoing interstate kidnapping, interference with custody, and deprivation of my parental rights. The notice details conduct that appears to violate Florida statutes 838.022 on official misconduct, 112.3173 on abuse of public office and related federal civil rights protections. I am not here to relitigate those ongoing matters today. I'm asking the board, through its county attorney, to exercise its administrative authority, oversight authority under Chapter 125 Florida statutes to appoint an independent committee to review these allegations, preserve all relevant county records and communications, and refer the evidence to appropriate state and federal investigators, including the state attorney, FDLE's Public Corruption Unit, and the FBI. The Supreme Court has made it clear in Monell versus Department of Social Services, 1978, that a county can be held responsible under 42 U.S.C. 1983 when constitutional violations result from an official policy, practice, or deliberate indifference by its governing body. Inaction after formal notice can itself become a policy. My request is respectfully made in good faith, not as a threat of litigation, but to ensure that our local government stands on the side of constitutional compliance, transparency, and protection of children and parents. I thank the board for receiving this filing and for acknowledging it in the public record. I remain available to provide documentation or testimony to any investigative authority the county designates. Thank you for your time and service to the citizens of Martin County. Can I leave a copy of this for the county attorney? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Matthew Height is next, followed by Bobby Moran.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hold the mic up.
Is this good? Yeah. Good morning. First of all, thank you for your time. And my apologies for our wasting your time the last time we were here because we didn't really understand the process of having to litigate our need for this back gate in Meadow Run. I know this isn't the time or place to do that. My purpose here today is to voice our need to be able to give you the information so that you can make a decision. I don't think it's a lot to ask. Again, forgiveness for our ignorance the last time. Just to reconsider and hear both sides of the story. The JCC attorney spoke with you just now. I think it's inappropriate. That is an unpermitted place in that back gate that has been dominated by lawlessness, truly. As far as the traffic that we're going to create, this is 91 lots we have, less than half occupied. There are going to be a few cars coming and going. We average 3 homes being built a year, so construction traffic, minimal at best, compared to the hundreds of cars that transit that road now for the soccer field. So we don't want to own the road, we just want to share it. It's a public road, and we just want to have the opportunity to present to you the need, because we have grave safety concerns with our elderly drivers, with our younger drivers, with our permitted drivers using Southwest Citrus on a regular basis. It has become a racetrack. There's limited visibility there, the overpass to 95. People come down off of that at high rates of speed. There have been accidents. There have been near misses. So the limited amount of use that we would have for that back gate from an EMS, police emergency reasoning, for multiple reasons, we would just like the opportunity to show you. Because what we're asking isn't outrageous. We've done the steps. We've followed the rules. And we just want the opportunity to show you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Bobby Moran is next, followed by John Moran. Morning.
Morning.
I would just like for you to revisit the Meadow Run thing. I don't think our facts were delivered in the right way. I mean, our facts, you did not hear our side of the story. and I think some of the facts that you heard were not correct. I do have to address the dog. I'm sorry, I'm a dog lover. I know this isn't appropriate, but why was the dog in the road? And I know that they say that road is a very busy road. However, I have gone down there and had to wait for their dogs to to get up out of the middle of the road and move off the road. I'm sorry the dog got hit. But anyway, that's my case. Thank you.
Thank you. John Moran is next, followed by Vincent Dugino? Okay, thanks.
Good morning. My name's John Moran. I'm just a resident of Meadow Run. I'm here just to support the board from the HOA because I think there are some points that need to be made. I didn't realize it was this controversial, but I'm just here to support that and just to get a revisit. Thank you very much. That's all.
Vincent Diaquino is next, followed by Anne Marie Height. Morning.
I'm going to address the safety issues that were brought up before about this gate situation. I made some notes. So here's my point of view that I'd like everybody to consider and hopefully help us out here. First responders, in my opinion, will have an advantageous point of entry and exit to our community. A home base for police, firefighters, and ambulances are all east of our community. Every second matters in a life and death situation, a mock-up emergency at the back of the development, one responder entering from the west side of our community and one entering from the east side would prove to you the considerable time savings which can save a life. We have elderly people in the community that live with their caretaker children. In the event of an emergency, they would also be afforded the opportunity to exit the community from the east and not the west. The east side is where all the hospitals, and again, time savings. We have young drivers in the community. My 16-year-old daughter, Mia, is one of them. The westbound community exit onto Citrus Boulevard, as you heard, whether heading northbound, southbound, is extremely dangerous for any driver. For an inexperienced young driver, it is cringeworthy for parents like me to worry about their daughter. Vehicles and trucks are frequently observed driving 70 miles per hour plus reckless and distracted. I have witnessed multiple accidents just outside our community on Citrus by our entrance. I would ask that the motor vehicle accident history is researched to prove my point. Deaths and permanent disability will be discovered during some of these accidents. I know people that have died. I am a 5-year resident that, nope, I won't say that, but that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anne Marie Height is next, followed by Tom Pine.
Morning. Thank you again for letting us come in front of you, and we apologize for last week not being prepared. We really I'm Anne Marie Height. I'm the president of Meadow Run. So when we went through the process of this gate project, started in 2021, up until that point, we've used the back gate. The community has used the back gate since 2004-05, when the first roads were constructed, and the stables, which is now the soccer farm, was also constructed by the developer. Martin County in 2004 was very different than it is today. In 2004, all the landowners got along. There were agreements, handshakes. We had landowners that were using our lakes to fish in, things like that. And granted, the site plan stayed in place. There was never an issue or a complaint until 2025. When the road was paved in 2022, we received an email from the county engineer's office stating the road is open back up, you have access, but remember, you are limited by your PUD. You need to amend that if you're going to have a back gate. The infrastructure today is in place. The road is paved. The road is qualified to be up to 3,000 cars a day, I think is what the engineer said. Meadow Run is 32 homes today with 9 under construction. We basically bring in today, with the lots and the homes, over $800,000 in property tax revenue. Every 4 homes is worth an additional $100,000. Now, we're only planning to have 3 to 4 homes go to CO per year for the next 4 years. But the limited amount of traffic with construction traffic, with 3 homes going to CO is not the reason that we want a back entrance. We need a secondary entrance. It's a safety matter. If there's a natural disaster, we need a second way to get out of the neighborhood. The police responding from the Exxon at the bottom of Martin Highway at the bridge save 5+ minutes just to get to my home from Layton Farms Road, or Avenue. So all we're asking for is we came here not prepared. We didn't realize that when the county government growth management section goes through and you follow each checklist and each department approves it, that there was more to it. We actually thought we were coming just to say thank you, we appreciate it, but we didn't get that opportunity to be represented, and we didn't expect that a non-permitted group in the back that don't have business licenses on an agricultural unit would cause such distraction from the true thing that we are here to amend a site plan to stay legal. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Tom Pine is next, followed by Jeff Cable.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name's Tom Pine. I've been a resident of Martin County for over 50 years. At our last County Commission meeting, we got an excellent presentation about 2 new wings, also known as pods, proposed for the county jail, paid for with a grant of $500,000 from the state of Florida. It went real smooth till the end when the cost was presented, $60 to $70 million. We can just add that to the rest of the project that we're going to build on borrowed money. 3 new needed fire stations in western Martin County, a new maintenance building at $80 to $90 million. That's been discussed for multiple years with no action taken. Using the consent agenda to hide from the taxpayers of Martin County where you're spending our tax dollars is a major factor in this mess you have gotten us into. Spending tax dollars behind closed doors is wrong and immoral. One of the county commissioners takes a position every time when selling county-owned property that our county government should not be in the business of making a profit. Then why is our Parks Department operating multiple business on the taxpayers' back? Because the hypocrisy in Martin County never ends. I went to the grand reopening of Phipps Park several years ago out by the locks. The head of the Parks Department gave his presentation, and the only thing that stood out to me was the cost. The county had already spent $800,000 and at least another $200,000 to finish it up. These are the types of expenditures that are hidden in the consent agenda, just like the county golf course. Since this RV park is a business venture, maybe it's time to sell it on the open market and let it be operated like it should be, a private business. Martin County residents don't use it. What you permit, you promote. What you allow, you encourage. What you condone, you own. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Jeff Cable is next, and Mr. Cable is the last request to speak form that I have for public comment. If you would like to speak to us, please fill out a request to speak form and get it to the bailiff. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
My name is Jeff Cable, and I'm the original applicant that requested an amendment to the master site plan for the community of Meadow Run. I'm both a resident, a current member of the HOA board, and also served on the board in 2021 when the process to seek this amendment first began. When I attended the October 7th meeting, I unfortunately misunderstood the procedure and made a rather egregious error in assuming that the amendment, after nearly 2 years of the detailed review and approval by the Martin County staff, would move forward as a formality. I take full responsibility for that misunderstanding and the consequences that followed. I'm here today to respectfully just request reconsideration of our application and to ask that the board allow us the opportunity to return and fully present the reasons this amended master site plan merits approval. We believe these reasons are significant and directly tied to the safety and well-being of our community. Thank you for your time and understanding and your consideration.
Thank you. Any comments, commissioners?
Yes. Okay. I was not able to be here at the last meeting. However, I did review the video. And I have lived in an HOA that had a front gated entrance, guarded gated entrance, and also a rear entrance. It definitely warranted a lot more traffic. It was by multiples, the number of homes that were there. I moved in when the construction was going on still by a developer. You have a very small HOA. If you're constructing about 3 homes per year, that's really negligible. It's not a great amount. The back gate, my understanding in speaking with Mr. Donaldson, who was the engineer at that time, and growth management, I did question him about all particulars on this particular road. My understanding is this was constructed by a private individual, and please correct me, Mr. Donaldson, and then it was turned over to the county. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the Leighton Farms Avenue's always been a public right-of-way. The end of it was unimproved and therefore considered on the rolls not open road. It was paved, as was stated earlier, and opened, then it was opened to the public in all rights as an open road. So, and that was done by a private individual to open the road for the benefit of their property to get permits.
To get permits and to construct. Martin County is not the Martin County that I grew up in, way back. It's not even the Martin County when I was here in early 2000, and I've come back again. The pleasure of serving on your board. It is a raceway, a lot of our roads. Citrus, US 1, Canner, you can just go on and on. We have a sheriff here too, so he can attest to that also. I think that if an individual is driving appropriately, it lessens the accidents, providing that they are going about their business in a way that is not breakneck speed. I'm a dog lover. I don't like to hear about animals being hurt, nor children, nor people. However, the issue is whether or not the Meadow Run HOA and the adjacent property owners really had a chance to present their sides of the argument. It was stated that there were inaccuracies, that the full picture wasn't described. If you have trucks that are coming in, they can damage the front gate if they haven't already, possibly overhangs. That's an additional expense. I lived in an HOA, again, I'll say, that had the trucks moving in the back gate, and those homeowners that were living there, me being one of them, had a barcode that they could leave through the back gate. We talked about the safety factor. That's critical also today. Traffic should be moving over. It doesn't soon enough when an emergency vehicle, whether it be fire or sheriff, is trying to get through to help one of our citizens. I think that we have to, in the spirit of getting along neighborly, give and I'll talk to my board now, give the homeowners and those that are in the neighborhood another chance to present their case. I would like to make a request for a quasi-judicial hearing to be put on the agenda, and Mr. Donaldson and his team will make a decision what date, and I would really request respectfully that our board accede to this.
Commissioner Campy.
Well, first off, let me thank my colleague for that. Stole a bit of what I was going to say, but I appreciate it very much, teeing it up. There is procedural issues. There was a gentleman from the JCC that said this is not properly noticed. I just want to be clear. First off, let me say that after the meeting, I did have an opportunity, having been invited to go out to Meadow Run and meet with some of the folks that spoke this morning. to drive down the northern driveway to see if that was legitimately an option. I personally am not an engineer, but I would tell you, I don't see that as an option. I also drove down all the way down Layton Farms. I have been down that way before, but not since this issue had come up. I also drove within the neighborhood. The roundabout, the gate, the width of the road is all done and paved. There is a gate there, it's chained over. So it's not like a large construction project. Some of the comments and the statistics that you heard today, even at full build-out, it's less than 100 homes. They're building, this is a very old, already, the HOA property has been around for decades and had a very slow start to the construction of the neighborhood itself. As you heard, they build a couple of homes per year, so it's not like a massive construction project coming and going. The Citrus, look, most of us have driven on Citrus. If you're not familiar with Meadow Run, the entrance is just a little bit north of the overpass of 95, and similar to what happens on Palm City, on the Palm City Bridge, you can imagine when you're coming over on a highway speed, coming up and over, that it sort of launches you down into the straightaway. It's dark there. I did it, I met with them during the day, but then I rode it again in the evening. It's pitch black at their entrance. And so beyond the construction, which will only last a little bit longer, we have to start looking at the safety issues. Now, instead of having this be an agenda item today, which there is, to Commissioner Vargas's point, if that was a motion, I would second it. If it's not a motion, I would make one, so whatever she prefers, for the opportunity for our constituents to be able to come back and present their side of the story differently. Now, I get it, and I will tell you that prior to hearing Commissioner Vargas's points, this would have been the first time in my political career I have ever asked for a reconsideration. Not so much specifically on the item, but on the procedure of how the item presented itself. The staff had given a recommendation of approval, confusing and creating confusion for the residents, our constituents, who are obviously not professional consultants and builders and developers, to think that, as we heard one of the speakers say, that the approval here from the commissioners was merely a formality. Had they thought that it was going to be a much more of a back and forth, which to the other side's benefit, they were prepared. They were prepared with visitors and people to speak out, members of the club to come and speak on behalf. But the residents assumed not to come because they thought that once you had a staff's recommendation of approval, it's an approval. Having, in many circumstances, an item like this would have been on the consent agenda. But it wasn't, and then all of a sudden, after spending thousands and thousands of dollars to get to that point. So my point today is that they should be afforded the opportunity to come, both sides, the other side can come again, and make a presentation that is a little more balanced, in my opinion, to hear the different sets of circumstances. It wasn't a matter of just purely having a construction entrance as a convenience for the trades. It literally is a permanent opportunity for residents to have it. And also, there's an added wrinkle of how the magistrate had basically said, I'm going to give you conditional approval until it goes to the board for them to sort it out. So I think a lot has been put forward on a relatively simple item that warrants at least another opportunity so that in the future, we have a fully noticed agenda item for both sides to be able to come and present to us a more complete picture. So if Commissioner Vargas,
Make a motion.
and I will second it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, that's two.
And we look forward to seeing our Meadow Run folks and those neighbors along Layton Farms. Come out, please talk, let us know. We're trying to be fair, but we only have so much time also, okay? Thank you so much.
It might be procedurally more correct for the motion to come from Commissioner Campy because he voted in favor of the item.
That's true.
Therefore, he has the ability to
that? That's right.
ask for a reconsideration vote at the next noticed meeting.
Yeah,
So
I
I
will
think that
second.
So that could happen, but the rules do allow an absent commissioner to make the motion as well, so we're good either way.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Now, we're going to take things slightly out of order, Commissioners, because there's a preset, and the sheriff is sitting here protecting us, doing a fine job of protecting us, but probably can be more productive after he leaves this building. So let's take up Department 3, which is a discussion of the county attorney position.
Thank you, Commissioners. Don Donaldson, your County Administrator. So this is for consideration of selection of the county attorney's position, the one of two positions that you hire, being the county administrator, myself, and the county attorney's position. This position was advertised starting back in May 30th with the selection, or the applicants submitting prior to July 1st. There was a number of views and interest from this. The board then selected a committee to assist the board in reviewing the applicants, and that board consisted of our clerk, Carolyn Timon, our sheriff, John Budenseek, and Denise Marie Neiman, who was a former Palm Beach County attorney, and myself.
County attorney.
County attorney, yes. Our job was to take the applicants and narrow it down for the board's consideration. We did narrow it down to a selection of 3 applicants for interviews. We did eliminate some due to concerns, to ethical concerns in their background. The board then asked us to conduct those interviews. We did conduct interviews on January 12th. We had narrowed it down to 3. 2 of the applicants have such taken other positions. However, it's important to note that the applicant that we have has done an excellent job for us. The committee has voted unanimously to recommend to the board Elise Elder for consideration for the board to be our county attorney. We have with us in the audience, again, Ms. Timon and Sheriff John Budenseek. Ms. Denise Neiman could not attend, but she did send a nice recommendation in the board packet, essentially describing her experience in interview processes for public attorney positions and county attorney positions, and noting that Ms. Elder met all of the qualifications, and in her interview also did very well and would be ranked highly for any interview around the state. However, having said that, this is your process, and ultimately the final decision rests on you on how to proceed. If you want to hear on any of the details of our reviews or interviews, Ms. Timon and John Budenseek are here to assist me in how that process went. But otherwise, we're here to answer any questions and to assist you in the furtherance of the process of you hiring your county attorney.
Thank you. Mr. Campy.
Mr. Donaldson, thank you for taking the lead. Couple of points that I think need to be brought up. We did also receive a letter of recommendation in the packet from our tax collector, Ruth Pietraszewski, recommending that we permanently hire or promote, in this case, Ms. Elder. Also from Supervisor of Elections, Vicki Davis. I did, and I'm assuming my colleagues did as well, receive a couple of emails where people were frustrated with the fact that we were only being given the choice of a single name. As Mr. Donaldson had just mentioned, this has been a multi-month-long process involving an opportunity, as we would hire for any position, putting it out on social media or the social media hiring platforms for anyone to have the opportunity to throw their name into the hat. With that in mind, there was a process, there were people that applied, there was a vetting process, all the way to the point where not the commissioners, where sometimes it has been the case where we have filled, at least I have been involved in opportunities where we went through a whole laundry, parade of applicants to fill positions. And some of us have hired people in the past, some of us have not. But that being said, I think it's, from the applicant's point of view, a very difficult process to go through 5 commissioners and others to get to a position. We were very fortunate in this particular case to have the folks that are involved in this, our sheriff, our clerk of the court, and Denise Neiman, who was involved. I know she was also an officer of the Florida Association of County Attorneys. We had used her services in the past to, I'm a strong believer in that the locals pick the locals, but Ms. Neiman, coming from out of the area, gave an opportunity to give an unbiased, kind of an objective perspective of, whether or not we're getting the right person. As many of you know, the county commissioners only hire 2 people. They're sitting over here to our right. The administrator and the attorney both are very, very important positions. I have had the honor of working with Mr. Stephen Fry, who was a legend, and then had the opportunity to help, as we're hopefully going to do today, promote Attorney Sarah Woods to her permanent position, and obviously that worked out very well. I'm a strong believer, and I would hope most of you would be, in bench strength and hiring from within. You don't have to pay someone a year's worth of a salary to find out that there wasn't a proper mix or a fit. Not only is Florida a very unique state to be an attorney in, Martin County is a unique county to be an attorney in, especially on our behalf. I think the position, although it seems like up on the 4th floor we have a small little law firm, if you will, I think the position of county attorney is more of a managerial position, so you need to have the managerial expertise beyond having, obviously, an excellent legal background. In the agenda packet, I steered clear of the process because I was very comfortable with the people that were running it for us. But in this agenda packet was Ms. Elder's resume, and it's exactly what you would want to see in a resume from an applicant. It had all of her professional and educational experience that is perfect. It also, that spoke very highly to me, it had a tremendous amount of community involvement, not volunteer involvement, leadership involvement in the community, and not in the last couple of years, for decades. And I would say, and I don't think Ms. Elder would mind, I had concerns in the beginning. We had I had some questions, and we had an opportunity to sit down and have a very frank conversation, and that really swayed me. I thought that she presented not only what she has been doing, which obviously, if you know, we talk about like a number 2 or a number 1. If you're number 2, you're not number 1. Your job is to assist and help the person that's in the leadership position, but not necessarily to push or to steal some of the spotlight. So with that in mind, I am proud to make the motion that we permanently hire Ms. Elise Elder to be our county attorney. I think she will fit very nicely into our long history of excellent representation, and I look forward to working with her.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yeah, Commissioner Campy already addressed that. I was getting a lot of calls and questions. Why is there only one viable candidate?
As I stated before, we had narrowed it down to 7 and then to 3 for interviews. And as we went through the interview process, the 2 that we were going to interview dropped out as they were hired to other county attorney positions or city attorney positions. And so we continued with the interview of Ms. Elder and treated her as a candidate and gave her very tough questions so that we could be ensured that that she knew the full depth of the process. But ultimately, that's why we have today just one candidate from the original mix of candidates.
Anything else? Commissioner Heatherington.
I think Commissioner Campy summarized it very well, and I was going to just clarify that we had received the emails stating that there was only one candidate, but actually it was properly advertised with plenty of opportunity around the state and the nation. I think it was advertised. We had applicants, and I believe I want to thank the committee for the job and the due diligence. It was a very thorough and transparent process, and I'd be glad to second Commissioner Campy's motion.
Commissioner Capps.
I'd like to begin by thanking all of the candidates who applied for the position. There were 7 originally, and there were many very compelling applications. And then I'd like to thank the selection committee, which I thought was a very stellar and impressive group of people that deal with the county attorney a lot. And of course, they were Clerk of Court Carolyn Timmons, Sheriff John Budensee, County Administrator Don Donaldson, and particularly noteworthy, the former Palm Beach County Attorney, Denise Marie Nyman, or is it Neiman? Neiman. Yes, and I thought that was very good that she was on there as someone who has held that very position in a county much larger than ours, Palm Beach County. I think Palm Beach County is about 9 times as big. 10 times as big as our county. So I have not actually met her, but just the weight of her office that she held and the role that she played seems to be very relevant to me. You know, we could be in a situation where we would need to make a decision based on resumes and reference letters and job interviews. Sometimes you're in that spot where you have to make a decision as best you can with limited tools. And those are valuable tools, but they only tell you so much. In our case, we have the opportunity to hire someone who we have seen in action for many years right on this very dais. We know a lot about former Deputy County Attorney and now Acting County Attorney Elise Elder. We know that she knows our comp plan, LDRs, and ordinances very well. And the county attorney basically has a tough job where she has to have an incredible recall of our laws and ordinances because she has to basically practice law and in a public setting without the opportunity to go research things like most attorneys have that opportunity. We know that she gets along well with and has credibility with the legal department and with staff. And we know that she has in-depth knowledge of our community since she's lived here for many years. I would note that the selection committee made a unanimous recommendation to approve Ms. Elder as our next county attorney. I think that's very noteworthy and impressive. And I put a lot of weight on former Palm Beach County Attorney Denise Marie Neiman's letter of reference for Ms. Elder, which ends with this statement, and I thought I would read a paragraph from that letter. Fortunately for Martin County, there was a very strong candidate in the application mix. Even if hundreds of others applied, it's highly unlikely any could come close to what your Deputy County Attorney Elise Elder can offer. It's not unusual to find someone who has vast private and public sector experience, is actively involved in their community, and who has not only the intellectual capacity, but excellent leadership skills as evidenced by responses to questions asked during her interview. Ms. Elder clearly cares about rendering the best legal counsel to the board, administration, and the county's various departments, divisions, and constitutional officers, as well as fully supporting the county attorney team. Her humility is also to be lauded. On top of all of this, she has a proven track record working in Martin County's legal office in different positions since 2018, including the very role she is seeking. Ms. Elder is the complete package. I strongly join in recommendation that Deputy County Attorney Elise Elder be appointed the county attorney for Martin County. That was at the end of her letter. In light of the above, I don't think we need to look any further in my judgment to make the best decision, and would be in support of Elise Elder being our next county attorney.
Ms. Timmon, would you like to address us?
Are you the chair of the selection committee?
I think we were all equal participants. Thank you.
Tough
Mr.
group to get in
Commissioner.
front of.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just keep my comments brief. I am here first to answer questions, if anyone had any questions about the process. I know one of the greatest questions was, why did we end up with one candidate? Hopefully, you're comfortable with that response. It was a national search, and continuing to narrow down the applicants, we ended up with 3 for interviewing and 1 final interview. We did feel that it was critically important to the whole process that we conducted that interview as if there were 10 candidates. It didn't matter. It was still a very important process. We all wanted to hear the responses. We all wanted to have the opportunity to ask questions. I will tell you, selfishly, I care a lot about this position. There's a lot of questions that come up in my office. Part of my role is to help protect the county from different risk, and identify kind of, hot topics that we may need a little assistance with. And those are very diverse issues. There's criminal issues, there's civil issues, there are certainly financial issues, ordinance issues, all of those things. We need a diverse base. And Ms. Elder brings that to us. So I felt very good about all of the interactions that I've had over the years and look forward to continuing those. I think the only thing I probably haven't brought forward would be anything from my domestic relations department, but that can always come up too. I really appreciate the diversity, and I appreciate that the board is really considering how important this job is to the whole county, but also to all the individuals in here. I think we hear that when people come before the board on public comment. And again, it's really those diverse issues. There's litigation, there's land use, all of those things. And your county attorney's office brings that to you. And I hope that we have a favorable vote to support Ms. Elder. And again, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Sheriff Budensek, would you like to address us?
Morning, Commissioners, Madam Chair. Thank you for just giving me a few minutes. When I was looking at this position, and I think about attorneys because we deal with them every day, we kind of live and die by them. I think of 3 things: somebody smart enough to see the problem or figure out a problem, somebody brave enough to look at you in the eyes. I mean, you guys and gals can be intimidating, or I can be intimidating, they say, and just tell you the truth. Whether you like it or not, they just tell you the truth. And then somebody forward-thinking enough to actually figure out how to navigate the scenario, whatever that might be, and move the organization forward. And we clearly saw that in Ms. Elder as we were going through the process. To your question, Commissioner Vargas, good question, by the way, local attorneys, when we were looking for applicants, local attorneys stood solidly behind Ms. Elder. In fact, some of them are here in the room today to support her. So the local community supports her, and our attorney community. But then I'll tell on myself real quick, because I think it tells you what you're dealing with here with Ms. Elder. In the application process, between her application being submitted and our oral board that we conducted with her, your sheriff made a mistake, a misstep. Not enough to get me in any real trouble, but enough for Miss Elder to call over to the Martin County Sheriff's Office and say, hey, Sheriff, you absolutely messed something up there. And this is the legal grounds with which I'm making my argument, and this is what I did to rectify that. And I sat back and thought, prior to the oral board we did, she already passed the oral board with me because she identified the problem, she had the courage to call over and tell us that we're wrong, and then she fixed it. moving forward. And that's exactly what you're looking for in an attorney. If I was hiring an attorney, that's what I need. Somebody that tells me the truth and figures out how to keep me out of trouble and keep the county out of trouble. So I'm proud to support you, Ms. Elder. I'm proud to be here to answer any questions, happy to answer any questions if you might have any of me.
Commissioner Vargas.
What was your misstep?
I misstepped. You want me to confess? Yeah, I'll tell you what it was. So one of we talked about our mental health pod this morning, earlier, and one of our inmates that has a severe mental health issue came to court and spit on Judge Roby, and I released the video to the media. Well, we have been pretty careful, unbeknownst to me, your county attorneys, even prior to Ms. Elder, they've been very careful with releasing the whereabouts of those cameras. And me releasing that video showed where that camera was in the courtroom. So not a real violation, but certainly an operational problem, because moving forward, if we started a pattern of releasing videos, if somebody came in and did a public records request, then any and all cameras in the courtrooms could be brought forward. Great point. So we won't be doing that again, but she was able to go in there and move those cameras elsewhere, and I think we're still able to protect our cameras under 119, the exemption of it being a surveillance piece of equipment. So those little nuances matter greatly in our business, and again, I appreciate her coming forward and just telling us what the problem was, but she also fixed the problem, which was impressive to me.
So that means she has AV skills as well.
I was going to ask.
Moving the cameras around in the courtroom, good for you.
All right, I'm done confessing if you all. Any questions, any other questions?
It doesn't appear so. Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Would anyone from the public like to address us on this? In that case, we are going to close out, and I will make my final comments, which I am not going to be supporting Ms. Elder for this position. There was a trial in circuit court here 7 years ago. The defendant was and is a Martin County employee. Ms. Elder was and is a Martin County employee. She should have been impartial. She was anything but during this trial. The trial lasted for 3 days, and for 3 days, she stomped loudly, deliberately in and out of the courtroom over and over and over, slamming the door each time that she came through the door. She was trying to rattle the defense attorneys. She was trying to influence the outcome of the trial. I thought that, on several occasions, I thought that the judge was going to prohibit her from remaining in the courtroom. He perhaps should have kept her out of the courtroom. She was that disruptive, that unprofessional, that disrespectful. And for those reasons, among others, I'm not going to support her. I think that we should re-advertise for the position again. Commissioner Campy.
So as to end on a different note, there's 5 of us for a reason. If it was a simple decision on yes or no, there'd be one person sitting up here. Ideally, it would be me. But other than that, I think that the legal profession, in more so than in many other professions, with all respect to my colleague, engenders this level of emotion. If you are in the legal system for whatever the reason, there is sides, and sometimes it's very obvious what the sides are, and sometimes it's more innuendo and sort of feels like there are sides. But beyond that very personal experience that we just heard, I think that that should not overshadow decades of experience. The fact that the community is endorsing her and supporting her in large measure, the fact that her staff within the department thinks that obviously we will be making the right decision. The legal community, as was mentioned, the brightest and the best of our group here. You know, we're kidding about the sheriff and the clerk of the court and Mr. Donaldson and Ms. Neiman being the board that you'd have to interview. That's a serious board to sit down in front of, and everyone was unanimous. So with all respect to my colleague and having a very specific and personal opinion of a set of circumstances, I think that will not necessarily, and I get it. I get that that's how she feels, but I don't see that that would be.
Facts.
Okay, that's how you feel. The facts, I don't know. I'm just hearing about this for the first time ever, and I'm giving you full respect for that. I just don't want that to be the final word on what I personally would consider an excellent opportunity for us to have Ms. Elder represent us. Thank you. And to my colleagues across town, this is how you do employment issues.
Commissioner Vargas.
Okay, so I understood what you said, Chairwoman Hurd. How was this handled with legal department at that time and also our HR department? Was that something that crossed? Was that something that had to be handled differently?
I
Was
don't.
there a lawsuit
think-
brought up by this employee? I mean,
I don't think the particulars of this would be appropriate to have any discussion on it, other than I think the chair explained her concerns about during the trial, which was a personal and difficult time. So I would, anyway, there was an acquittal, and we're fortunate to have that all fully resolved. And so I think any details of that matter that if you're truly interested in should be discussed in private. Thank you.
Any further discussion? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? That motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting. Now we will go. Thank you both. We will now continue with commissioner comments. Commissioner Heatherington, any comments this morning?
No, I'm all set this morning, thank you.
Commissioner Campy?
I'm also set.
I'm set. Commissioner Capps?
Well, we just came from the legislative delegation meeting that occurred in the Blake Library at 9 o'clock, and I would just like to say that I appreciate Chair Hurd and County Administrator Don Donaldson for representing our interests very well. And also, I would just like to say that I really appreciated the vocal number that we heard from the Radiant Voices. What a beautiful performance and song with such a beautiful message. Maybe we were made for these days. We don't have to be afraid. Really enjoyed that.
Commissioner Vargas?
some of the ladies who were with Radiant Voices do go to my church, and they were so enthused about coming here, and I was delighted to see them, of course, as my colleagues and those that were in attendance also. I think you did a spectacular job, Chairwoman Hurd. Very authoritative. Of course, Mr. Donaldson always, picks through the spaghetti, and people understand it when you explain it in lay terms. So we appreciate that all. So it was a good presentation. But we all got up en masse and left before the other municipalities had a chance to, present their notes. But anyway, no, I think that's about it for right now for me. Thank you.
Mr. Donaldson.
I do have one item, and it's, we've done this once before. It's regarding brownfields. And so this is simply a public notice as required by law. There's no action to be taken. And so this is requested by Oasis Development LLC. So I will read the following. There will be a community meeting for the request by Oasis Development LLC and the Palms of Hope Sound LLC to designate property located at Southeast Gomez Avenue in Hope Sound, Florida, as a brownfield under Florida Statute Section 376.80. The meeting will be held at 11720 Southeast Shell Avenue, Unit 1-A, Hope Sound, Florida, on November 4th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. The purpose of the meeting is to provide the public input on the size of the area, the objectives of rehabilitation, job opportunities, and economic developments anticipated, neighborhood residents' considerations, and other relevant local concerns. And that concludes my public statement on by pursuant the request of Oasis Development in accordance with Florida statutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Ms. Elder? In that case, let's move on to the consent agenda. Can we take up the pulled consent number 14? Which,
Can I begin, I'm the one who pulled this item, and Mr. Gorton, I'm sure, will do a marvelous job presenting, as he always does. And I would note that the issue at hand is a resolution to authorize execution of a maintenance memorandum of agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation for a multi-use trail along US 1 and Hobe Sound. And so that is the subject matter before us, but the reason I pulled the item and wanted Mr. Gorton to explain a little bit to us, I think there's a lot of confusion about where the Sun Trail is proposed. You know, at the MPO meetings and other places, they're just reams of documents, and I asked Mr. Gorton to put the Sun Trail on a one-page document, so it's real simple to understand, to explain to us where it's going to be as it goes into JD Park. Well, first of all, let me just mention, the goal here is to connect the wide sidewalk that is down by the entrance of JD Park, and to run that wide sidewalk all the way up to Osprey Street in northern Hobe Sound, and to make it part of the Sun Trail. And it has a lot of zigzags and turns, and part of it is going to be on the east side of US 1, and part of it's going to be on the west side of US 1. And also, there's some very interesting twists and turns on the Sun Trail as it goes through the park itself that I don't think many people understand. So I look forward to Mr. Gorton explaining it in detail, and make a particular note on which side of US 1 we're talking about and why it's done that way. Thank you.
Jim Gorton, Public Works Director. So this agenda item is, we're asking the board to authorize the county administrator to execute a maintenance memorandum of agreement, or MMOA, with the Florida Department of Transportation for a proposed multi-use trail along US 1 and Hobe Sound. So this is a Sun Trail, Sun Trail is the funding mechanism that's used to construct this trail. And it's also part of the East Coast Greenway Trail, which is a trail network that extends from Maine down to Key West. So this is one of the pieces through Martin County. So on this map that I've got pulled up, we've got green on the north and south ends of the map. Those portions are already existing. Those portions have been built. On the south end, that's on the west side of US 1, and it runs from the park entrance all the way to the county line. On the north end, that's the piece of trail that starts at Cove Road, runs through Sea Branch Park, and then to the north end of Gomez. So those are the two existing pieces. This maintenance, this MMOA is for the piece that's shown in orange through Hobe Sound from Bridge Road north to Osprey Street. That piece is designed by DOT, and it's going to be constructed with the resurfacing project that's going to occur in 2026. The next piece that is also referenced in the MMOA is the red piece that's south of Bridge Road. So that's going to be, it's going to start on the west side of US 1 at Bridge Road, and at J.V. Reed Park, Olympus Street, it's going to cross over to the east side of US 1, and then run down the east side of US 1 to the National Wildlife Preserve. There's going to be a crossing, a signalized crossing, where users of the trail can cross over and then get into Jonathan Dickinson Park. The next piece is in design. So this is the current concept piece. which is the red part that's actually inside the park. But generally, the concept is going to be for the trail to be along the old Dixie Highway, which is the paved road that's adjacent to the FEC train tracks. And then that'll carry you over to the Park Road, where the train tracks cross the Park Road, and then it'll follow the Park Road out to the entrance of JD Park. Once those 4 projects are constructed, there'll be continuous trail, multi-use trail from Cove Road all the way south to the county line. So that's the piece that we have done now. There's also a concept that's being developed for the next piece, which is from Cove Road all the way up to Baker. And so that's a little trickier because you have to go through the developed part of the county. So we're working on that piece right now through our MPO. And then the piece north of Baker is already constructed. So we already have the section of trail that runs along Green River Parkway all the way up to the county line. That's already built. And St. Lucie County is getting really close to finishing their piece, which goes through the park up there. So there's going to be quite a network of trails available to our residents once this is all constructed.
I'd like to just thank you, Jim. That was excellent. Just a couple of comments for our JD Park enthusiasts. I'm one of them, and Mr. Gorton is too, I do believe. He's also in the park a good bit. But as you go in, and you pass the guard gate there, and you just imagine yourself winding around to the railroad tracks. That's where the road turns north. Right there, there's like a little dirt road that runs right along the east side of the railroad tracks. And then you would go north quite a ways along that little road, and where it pops back out again, that's the state parks entrance, right there by where the Loran Tower used to be. That's where it pops back out of the park. And then it crosses US 1 to the east side of US 1 and runs for maybe a mile or so over the overpass and on up to the fire station by Reed Park. And the reason that portion of it is on the east side of the highway, which is the only portion that's on the east side of the highway, is because we can get federal funding for that part. Is that kind of the concept where we're pursuing federal funding? Because that is Hope Sound National Wildlife Refuge land? Is that the thinking?
That is correct. So the funding that the state is using, it requires it to make a connection to the federal facility.
Right. Some people have questions. Why do we have a segment of it on the east side with most of it being on the west side of US 1? Well, anyway, up there by the fire station, that's where it pops back across the highway and starts running on the west side all the way up to Osprey Street. I just felt like there are a lot of folks who didn't really understand that, so I really appreciate the presentation. Thank you.
Commissioner Heatherington.
Could you just summarize what is our responsibility for maintaining it and what the DOT, because I only see just drainage very generally.
So the DOT is required to maintain the structural integrity of the trail, but any of the amenities that might go along with the trail, should we choose to add benches, landscaping, even the ADA surfaces, the detectable warning surfaces are ours, drop-offs for safety of the public, things like that are to the county, but the structural integrity of the trail itself is still the responsibility of DOT. I can tell you that our staff that worked on this negotiated pretty hard with DOT. Our neighbors to the north that are working on their trail section now just signed the agreement outright, and we spent quite a bit of time negotiating to make sure that we have a fair agreement and limits our liability.
Thank you for that.
Is this the one Ms. Wixer pointed out, the state's error?
Yes, that's the one where our chief engineer pointed out to the state that there was a concern with the agreement. So it didn't match how the funding came down from the state.
Any further questions?
I would move approval of consent 14. Is that the next thing we need to do?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Now, I would like to see a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. We will now move on to public hearing number 1, which is a public hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 83, General Ordinances, Martin County Code relating to Fish and Wildlife and Lake Okeechobee Fish and Wildlife Advisory Council. Mr. Fox.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sebastian Fox, Senior Assistant County Attorney, for the record. I'm here before you this morning on a public hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 83, General Ordinances, Martin County Code related to Fish and Wildlife and the Lake Okeechobee Fish and Wildlife Advisory Committee. In 1974, Martin County adopted a variety of ordinances in Chapter 83 to regulate various methods of saltwater fishing and to address the protection of bald eagles, sea turtles, and alligators. Subsequent to the adoption of Chapter 83, both the Florida Constitution and the Florida statutes were amended to grant the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, or FWC, exclusive authority to regulate wild animal life, freshwater aquatic life, and marine life. This authority includes the power to adopt rules tantamount to legislative acts for the management, restoration, conservation, and regulation of fish and wildlife in the state. The regulation of bald eagles and sea turtles in the state of Florida involves both federal and state entities, with primary oversight provided by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service at the federal level and FWC at the state level. These agencies work under the framework of the Endangered Species Act, the Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act, the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, and Florida state law to protect these species and provide a legal framework for enforcement. With this historical context in mind, this agenda item concerns an approval of an ordinance that will address the constitutional and statutory preemption of local government's regulation of saltwater fish and wildlife and the effective elimination of any consistencies between Martin County Code and the relevant provisions of the Florida Constitution, Florida statutes, and Title 68 of the Florida Administrative Code. County staff has worked collaboratively with FWC to ensure that the proposed ordinance aligns with FWC's constitutionally established authority and that violations of state law will be enforced appropriately in Martin County. Included in this agenda item is a letter of support from FWC, which I would like to share before I conclude my presentation. Finally, the proposed ordinance updates Article 3 of Chapter 83 to remove all reference to the now defunct Lake Okeechobee Fish and Wildlife Advisory Council, which was replaced in the year 2000 by the County Coalition for Responsible Management of Lake Okeechobee and the St. Lucie and Caloosahatchee estuaries and the Lake Worth Lagoon. This county coalition is a multiple county-based advisory group organized primarily for the purpose of providing the general public, the South Florida Water Management District, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Florida Department of Environmental Protection, the Florida Legislature, and various groups and committees with a body which will represent and present a variety of issues dealing with the health and welfare of these bodies of water. According to its bylaws, the county coalition shall, whenever possible, initially consist of one representative from 9 counties. Each county nominates one representative from their Board of County Commissioners to serve until which time they are replaced. Commissioner Hurd currently represents Martin County at the quarterly meetings of the County Coalition, which are held in Okeechobee. Since the County Coalition was legally established pursuant to its own governing documents, it does not need to be incorporated in the Martin County Code. So this public hearing was advertised in the Stewart News on October 10th. And if I may, I'd like to read the letter of support we received from FWC for this ordinance change. This is from Regional Director Dr. Thomas Reinert. Dear Madam Chair and Commissioners of Martin County, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, FWC, has reviewed the draft resolution of Martin County's efforts to streamline and modernize county codes and outdated special acts and statute. We support the county's efforts aimed at repealing the fish and wildlife ordinances codified in Martin County Code Section 83.31, and in turn recognize the FWC's constitutional rulemaking authority and the state's preemption of the power to regulate the taking or possession of fish and wildlife as established in Article 4, Section 9 of the Florida Constitution. The county commissioners and citizens of Martin County can rest assured that the repealed ordinances will not jeopardize fish and wildlife resources. Federal and state law and FWC rules cover most, if not all, of the issues addressed in the county ordinances. Using a science-based approach, the FWC is committed to managing fish and wildlife resources for their long-term well-being and the benefits of people. Sincerely, Thomas Reiner. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Fox? We have one request to speak form, and that's from Mr. Arthur Rink. Please join us, and you'll have 3 minutes to address us this morning.
Stole all my thunder. I agree with you 100% that this should be approved. Thank you, Elise, for whatever help you gave me during the course of this deal. Thanks to the commission. I'm sorry. I thank you guys for listening to me. I brought this to you on May 6th, okay? Mr. Capps said, let's put it on the agenda. Well, we're here today, okay? Going to solve a big problem for myself and all the other commercial and recreational fishermen that we have. However, there is one issue down there at the National Wildlife Refuge, and they still want to do the 2-rod limit, which is against FWC rules and everything. And if you look at their Title 50, 3228, they enforce local ordinances, okay? In this particular case, it won't exist, that code won't exist anymore. So hopefully, I just want to make sure they know what's going on. And other than that, I'm so happy you got this accomplished. If it's, I don't even know, if it happens, when does it happen?
We're set to approve it today.
Now.
Yes. I'm going fishing tomorrow. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
That actually worked out for you, sir. From May to now, that's pretty good.
Well,
got anything else on your Christmas list?
Well, I got a couple other things, but
Come back.
too early for that. I got to deal with FWC and their opinion. But yeah, it's fantastic to see that it can actually work. Anybody can come up here and say what they have to say, and it works. So thank you all. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Rink.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention to begin with.
Didn't want to go to jail.
Sheriff has left.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Fox, thank you, sir.
We'll take. We'll take up, let's see. Department Quasi Judicial Number 1, shall we take up? That's a request for approval of the High Point Planned Unit Development Phase 2 Revised Final Site Plan. This is quasi judicial. Any ex parte disclosures?
If I have any, they've been filed.
If I have any, they have been filed.
If I have any, they've been filed.
I don't have any, and that's been filed.
If any, they've been filed.
Excellent. And have all your materials been sent to the clerk?
A copy of my work history and the agenda item.
Anyone who's going to be providing sworn testimony, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Presentation, Mr. Elam.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. This is a request by Kotler and Hearing on behalf of Pulte Home Company LLC for revised final site plan approval for Phase 2 of the High Point planned unit development consistent with the approved revised master site plan, which added 6 lots to Phase 2. The site is located along Southwest Pratt Whitney Road on the northwest corner of Pratt Whitney and Bulldog Way with the secondary urban services district, or within the secondary urban services district in Stewart. The current zoning on the property is the High Point PUD zoning agreement, and the future land use is a state density 1 unit per acre, which allows a maximum density of 1 unit per acre. The aerial image on the left shows the High Point PUD Phase 2 area inside the red line and the Phase 2 platted lots. The image on the right is an excerpt of the proposed Phase 2 revised final site plan showing the lot lines for the 6 new lots, which is consistent with the PUD revised master site plan approved on November 12, 2024. So this is the area, and this is where the 6 lots were added and approved for the master site plan. Development review staff have found that the Pulte Home Company application to comply with all applicable regulations in the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan as detailed in the staff report. And staff recommends approval of the Pulte Home Company application to revise the Phase 2 final site plan for the High Point PUD. We move that the board receive and file the agenda item and its attachments, including the staff report as Exhibit 1. And we move that the board adopt the resolution approving the revised Phase 2 final site plan for the High Point PUD. And that concludes my presentation.
Questions for Mr. Elam? Applicant, would you like to make a presentation? Good morning.
Good morning. George Missimer with Kotler and Hearing for the record, and I have been sworn in. I do have a brief presentation that I prepared. It's the same information that Brian presented. I don't have anything new to offer, so if you'd have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? Commissioner Vargas?
Okay, so this is just an additional 6 lots so that you can sell them?
Yeah, so the master plan was approved for the addition of the 6 lots, and this amends the final site plan and the construction plans for those lots so that they could be sold. Correct.
This is a public hearing. Would anyone from the public like to address us? I will close the public hearing, and Commissioner Campy.
Make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is Department 1, Office of Management and Budget items which require board approval. Good morning, Ms. Murley.
Good morning, Stephanie Murley, Director of OMB, here to present 4 items on the OMB item today. Our first item is permission to accept the Florida Department of Transportation Local Agency Program, or LAP grant, for the Southeast Washington Street Sidewalk Project. Our Public Works Department is requesting the acceptance of a grant in the amount of $554,073 to construct a 6-foot wide concrete sidewalk, crosswalks, drainage improvements, and pavement markings for ADA compliant pedestrian route. There is a grant match required in $1.2 million that is programmed within the roads capital improvement plan. Our second item is a permission to accept the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, or SRF loan, amendment number 1. Our Utilities Department is requesting the acceptance of $4,593,523 to be applied to Martin County's Coral Gardens Vacuum Septic to Sewer project. There is no cash match required, but the principal, interest, and any additional costs of these loans will be paid from the assessments for those folks that are in Coral Gardens. Item number 3 is a permission to accept the FDOT Public Transportation Grant Agreement for Runway 1230 PAPI, I don't know what that's for, replacement at the airport. Our Martin County Airport is requesting the acceptance of $15,000 from FDOT for the replacement of those items with LED units. There is a match of 2.5% or $15,000 that will be provided by the Airport Capital Improvement Plan, and the remainder is going to be covered by the FAA. And item number 4 is a mosquito control annual certified budget. Our mosquito control division is requesting the acceptance of an increase of $6,185.56 to provide funding for our arthropod control programs, and we are just requesting a budget resolution and detailed work plan to accept these funds. And that is all I have today.
Questions for Ms. Murley? Commissioner Capps?
On the first one, item number 1 on page 510, it's interesting to me how, in most cases, the county government puts forth a little bit of money, and the state government puts forth a bunch of money. And it's interesting how this one is kind of flipped, where the state is paying about $500,000 and we're paying $1.2 million. And wondered, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so Jim Gorton, Public Works Director, the reason that this DOT is only paying a percentage of it is because they can only fund the portions that are directly related to the sidewalk itself. So in this instance, we have to do some drainage modifications and pipe some swales and do some stuff to allow for the sidewalk to be in the location that it is. And those are non-eligible expenses related to the grant, so the county has to incorporate those into our project. So those are local expenses.
Thank you.
But we still have about a third of the project paid for by the state.
That's good. Good, thanks. And then on the second item, on page 511, wondered for those who might not understand what the state revolving loan fund is, if it could just be explained a little bit, and why we have to use it. I think it's like a financing mechanism, but.
Good afternoon, Sam Amerson, Utilities and Solid Waste Department Director. That's a good question, Commissioner. It's the state revolving fund loan, and it's just what it says, it's a revolving fund. And so we apply for low-interest loans. This money comes from the federal government through the states, and the states allocate those funds when we make application to assist in this case, clean water or wastewater project, septic to sewer for Coral Gardens, and they're low-interest loans. And so those are available each year. The committee at FDEP, this is within the Department of Environmental Protection, and they meet 4 times per year, and we've been able to get financing through them pretty successfully over the last 5 years. And so we use that mechanism as opposed to a bank loan, which is typically a higher interest rate. These loans can go out to 20 years. Typically, they are a 20-year loan. Bank loans, if we're going to borrow $20 million or $15 million for a project, banks are a little uneasy extending loans beyond 15 years. And so we prefer the state revolving fund loan.
So we would be borrowing from the state revolving loan fund for the portion that the county is adding into a project?
Yes, typically, we'll have local funds. There are some revenue sharing funds that the county provides to the utility to reduce the cost of these large vacuum sewer projects. The board's policy was a goal of a cap of $12,000 on these projects. In order to do that, the general fund has assisted. There's FP&L franchise fees that are utilized as well as local match, local funds to buy down the cost. And typically, the loan is generally the same value as the assessment to those properties in the MSBU. And so that is our repayment. That's the revenue stream to repay the loan is the assessment.
Commissioner, if I could add to it, is we get grants and we have local funds that are paying for a portion of the project. And then we have the assessment, which the homeowner pays. And the homeowner can pay cash up front, or we can put it on their assessment over time. The county still has to pay the contractor the total value of the project when they build it. So if we're going to allow a property owner to pay it over 20 years at $800 a year on their tax bill or something like that, we don't have the funds internally to upfront those funds. So this SRF fund is really, the borrowing is on behalf of the property owner who's going to receive an assessment. So it's the repayment is from the through the special the MSBU is what's paying it back. And so again, the property owner has a choice, and to keep the cost as low as possible to the property owner. Obviously, the cheapest mechanism for us to write a check all at once with no interest at all. But the SRF is a lower rate than we can get from a bank, and then the repayment is managed by outside consultants, essentially working with the tax collector. So once it's done, actually we don't see it again, and those that debt, if you will, is really accrued by our residents who receive the benefit, as opposed to like a utility project that's at our plant.
Good, thank you.
Commissioner Campy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Donaldson, to your point, I remember several months ago, or maybe in the last election cycle, folks were, the amount of money that is borrowed for the construction of those massive projects that is going to be repaid by individual residents, the amount of the debt looks as though it's county debt, correct? When you hear people saying, oh, the county has $100 million worth of debt, that number
listed.
includes this.
It's listed as it, but the revenues pledged are by those special assessments borne by those folks in the MSBU.
Correct, but if someone was just, casually reviewing our overall financial circumstances of the
Correct.
county, it looks as though we have a massive debt, except it's working debt based on these projects.
Correct.
Thank you. Bears repeating.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yes, where did he go? There he is. Yes, the interest rate is rather attractive for the homeowner, is it not?
1.83%.
Yeah, it's like the old days of a couple of years ago, the fake money. But anyway, it's quite attractive, so, if they're earning more on an investment, they may want to stretch it out. But we make it convenient for them, too.
That's a good point. That's exactly right. We've been able to, the loans to date have been less than 2%.
This one's 1.83%.
And they have up to 20 years to,
That's correct.
it's a good deal.
One more question for Mr. Emerson, Madam. Are there caps on how much we can borrow at a time? Like, are there limits? Because we had a meeting last night. Can we just borrow what we need and get the Old Palm City project going with more money right now?
That's probably a different loan. These are typically for clean water, which is wastewater,
Well, we're
or
trying to-
drinking water, and we're capped at $20 million. Each entity is capped at $20 million
Total or yearly?
yearly.
Leo, get some money.
Any further questions?
And real quick, and that's why we're doing this amendment here, because we hit our cap, and we got about half the funding we had requested last year, and this is the second half of that funding. So that's the reason for the amendment, because we had hit our cap already.
For which year?
It was for, I think, last year.
Okay.
Or year before.
So we have another year to reach our cap starting October 1.
Right. And I think going forward, we're going to probably, we had these grouped, some of these were grouped into multiple projects because we wanted to get proof for the total 20 million cap. And so that's why we bundled several of the projects.
Thanks. Commissioner Heatherington?
I'm just curious, the $20 million cap, we've reached that in the past, and what does the state put into that fund statewide? I'm just curious.
It varies based on the federal budget and the state budget as well. It's tens of millions.
I'll have to look that up.
I don't have that number offhand.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
That's for the whole state, tens of millions.
Yes, that's correct.
I'll make a motion as long as a lot of the money goes to Palm City.
Don't forget about Jensen Beach and Rio.
Yeah, we're all done up there.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Department 2 doesn't have anything. Department 4. Department 4 is solicitation for public-private partnership for a public facility. Commissioners, before we take up this matter, you want to motor through or you want to make a break?
Can we
In that case, do we need to take, well, you want to take a 10-minute break for the closed captioner?
Sure.
And then motor through?
Yes.
All right, let's do that. 10 minutes. We'll look at your watches, commissioners. I know that none of you can tell time.
You're on.
Excellent, thank you. We are now taking up Department 4, which is solicitation for a public-private partnership. We call it a P3 for a public facility. Take it away.
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. Matt Graham, Assistant County Administrator. Joining me is Sean Donahue, our General Services Director. And today we're here for a request for approval to do a solicitation for a public-private partnership, or P3, for a public facility. So this proposal or this public facility would include basically three things. One, it would include either a backup dispatch center or a public use for one of our other departments or constitutional offices. The second thing would be medical offices that we could potentially lease out, or the builder could lease out. And then the third thing is ultimately our wellness clinic. So we're asking for a two-step process for the solicitation. The first step would be the request for qualifications, where we would receive the qualifications from the bidders. We would evaluate those with our selection committee, and then the final top two or three bidders would then be invited to participate in the request for proposal. And once we get those proposals from the top two or three bidders, the selection committee will evaluate them and then bring them back to the board for recommendation. There is one other item on this this agenda item that I have, and that's to ask that we change the current land use on there. It's designated as general institutional, and in order for us to have medical on this property, we need to change that to commercial office residential. So ultimately, we have three recommendations. One, move that the board approve the issuance of the solicitation of the public-private partnership proposals for the construction and financing of a county facility. Two, move that the board direct staff to return with evaluation results and recommendations following the review of the proposals. And three, move that the board adopt a resolution to initiate a future land use map amendment to the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan to change a portion of the county property from institutional general to commercial office residential for the purpose of accommodating a revenue-generating public-private partnership project. So that concludes my presentation. We'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I, for one, am very excited to be taking this next step. Commissioner Heatherington.
Yes, I agree. I just thought of this question. If for some reason, I know that they likely will never sell this property, we have, big plans, but if it were to, this particular property to revert or be used for something else, could we take the zoning back to its original zoning? If we were to sell it for unforeseen reason.
Elise Elder, so prior to selling it, we can come back to the board to rezone it or change the land use,
Remove the core off of it.
whatever the board wanted to do.
Thank you. I'll move approval.
Commissioner Capps.
Yes, this is a request for the board to consider approval of a solicitation for public-private partnership. And P3s can also be unsolicited.
That's correct.
As well, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And that's a very interesting concept, like where maybe the local government wouldn't necessarily feel the need to do something, but some private interest could come in and say, hey, we want to build a building on a public-private partnership basis. Here's our unsolicited bid. Is that the kind of thing that was done with the golf courses in JD Park? I think that's kind of what happened up in Tallahassee, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was my understanding of how those came about. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was interesting. And then how long have P3s been around, this whole concept? Is this a new thing?
It's
Or,
newer. I believe there was some change to the legislation in the past few years, but it was probably, 2008 or so, I think, is when the 15 years.
So with a P3, the county owns the land, and then the private partner is going to own the building.
That's correct.
And the end of a term of years, probably 20 or 30 years or something, the title to the building itself reverts over to the county eventually.
Yes, that's correct. So ultimately, we'll own the land, we'll have say in the design and the development of this project, but we're going to be working with a builder to construct it, utilize their expertise in building a medical facility, and realize their cost efficiencies while building this.
And when you mentioned utilizing their expertise, that's one of the advantages of the P3, where there are these people that go around the state and they have a niche in construction of various unique types. You know, perhaps they're good at building hospitals or libraries or certain types of facilities. And you have a lot less problems when you have this sort of specialty contractor.
Correct. Sean Donahue, General Services Director. Yeah, exactly right. County could build it. We're not experts. We've never built a medical facility before. We've never designed one. We could make several mistakes along the way. We get the specialty guys to come in and build it. They'll be much faster, so time is money, and they'll be much more efficient in how they construct it, specific for that use.
Good. Thank you.
Commissioner Vargas.
What is the typical, if that's the right word, or most beneficial to the county length of an agreement with a P3 partnership? Would it be 15 years, 20 years? Is that doable?
So we're working with Cushman & Wakefield. They're going to help us evaluate the proposals. Also, will involve the budget office, but once we get those proposals, we'll bring them back to you, and we'll be able to evaluate the financing when those proposals are submitted.
I don't think there's an exact answer. It depends on the project. Because some P3s, the challenge with the state language in the P3 is it allows a lot of different types of projects. So there are some times where they might use one like where transportation, where tolls, and the P3 is building the facility and getting a percentage of the toll revenues, and the toll revenues, they may be for so many years. Or it might be through a utilities project where there's a surtax or something on top of your utility bill that you're using it. So that diversity makes it hard to say, but typically it's going to be the benefit of if it's a, and I think the school boards have used it where sometimes the P3 entity has actually found the property and developed the land and the building for the entire project, and then that facility got turned over at the end of this lease purchase, if you will, project concept where you're paying the entity owns the land and the building until the end. All the projects that we've contemplated, we don't need that type of service. We're just looking for the expertise in the building construction. But I think you would typically see a 15 or 20 year, certainly no more than 30-year life. Giving our typical process, if you ask Ms. Murley, she likes loans that are short term that we could pay off in the eventuality. So we're usually, we don't like the total interest cost over the life of the project, we like to keep to a minimum.
Any further questions, comments? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, back to the board for a motion to approve.
I offered a motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Department 5, which is consideration to adopt an official Martin County flag.
Where's Gail?
Morning, Madam Chair. George Stokas, Assistant County Administrator. Before you, on April 8th of 2025, this body directed staff to prepare an item outlining the process, as well as the creation of an official Martin County flag. Before you today will be two options. I'll scroll down to that, but staff wants to bring your attention that under Florida law, local government flag designs are public records and therefore are classified as public domain. Local governments, including counties, generally cannot copyright their flags, unlike the county seal, which is afforded statutory protection under Section 165. We also would, as staff, once you select a flag, we will create a flag display policy that would only affect or govern county direction. And before you, so we met behind, but here are the two options for the flag.
Can you rotate this?
I'm gonna
You're fabulous.
do my best. No, I do not get to have access to do that. So, Donna, do you get access to rotate it? While we're doing that, option A was inspired by the Martin County seal. The design features the county's sailfish emblem prominently at the center in the sun in the upper right corner of the flag, and the words Martin County displayed along the lower portion. All colors incorporated in this design are drawn directly from the existing county seal. Option B, which we'll scroll down, is a similar design. Highlights Martin County's newly recognized champion black mangrove tree. The design places the tree against the outline of the sun with 4 horizontal lines representing the county's 3 rivers and Lake Okeechobee. The words Martin County are displayed along the bottom or lower portion of the flag. Again, all colors are consistent with those found in the county seal with the exception of the additional green in the leaves. As far as initial capital and ongoing maintenance costs, in order to have a flag of this manner displayed outside of this building, General Services has informed me that the cost to do so would be $15,000. For indoor display, with staff purchasing approximately 10 double-sided 4x6 flags, approximately $70 each, with 2 8-foot flagpoles with bases at approximately $60 per set. Staff estimates the indoor display cost to be approximately $1,000. And of course, there'll be ongoing maintenance costs, which will consist primarily of replacing the above components as they reach the end of their useful life. And with that, and I apologize, but I guess we cannot flip the item. I can put this, if I can go very old school and put this up on the dock cam.
Go old.
You know, in my entire 15-year, I've never used the dock cam, so I don't even know how to turn it on. Let's see.
Oh, it's perfect, George.
See that? You're like an expert.
That's right.
So that's option A. That is option A. And then this, I apologize, is option B.
I like the fish.
And with that, I'll take any comments, questions, concerns, and look forward to your decision.
Commissioner Heatherington.
Yes, I like option A and B. I think option B would be greatly used in some of our tourism development council. I prefer option A, except for option A's is a marlin, and we would need to change it to a sailfish.
Dun, dun, dun.
Thank you for all of the fishermen out there that recognize that.
We'll make that change. I was not aware of the difference.
You tell, I don't.
George, switch it back to the other one, please.
Yes. It should look like that fish back there.
That fish.
I like option A because I believe it kind of is our brand that we have on our seal and is very consistent with that. So that's why I prefer that option. Again, I think B is beautiful, and I'm hoping that we can find some usage out of that for many other things.
I like option B. I think that the mangrove should be the symbol of Martin County. I think that it's an environmental message that we want to send, that our residents send to us, I think, every day. Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. I like A. I get the concept of the mangrove should be our image. However, it's not. This is historically, not this particular fish, but historically, it's a sailfish. It speaks to the water. We're on the coast. I like the sun. I know that this is just a color copy of, and then put on the dock cam, so the colors are not accurate, but I think would be important is if you're using, or whoever designed this, if it had Pantone, the little Pantone squares that we can actually see, because we obviously want the sky, I like the light blue color of the sky, but whatever color this is for the water, I mean, it's probably accurate, but we would hope that in a flag it would be bluer than that. This is brackish or whatever this, yeah, this is, and that's why the fish is mostly out of it, I guess. So all kidding aside, I think this is a nice idea. I know that we had a member of the public come forward and sort of ask us to initiate this. I think it's something that we have thought about for a while. It is more of a, a nicety than a necessity, but there's no reason that if we kept it simple. I also like the fact that we wouldn't necessarily copyright it and make residents participate in it. I think letting it be open source where we've created, this is sort of our flag, but if people wanted to, have pride in their community, it can be a flag, but it could also be a bumper sticker or a cling, or let the members, T-shirts, let the members of our public utilize it, as long as they don't, well, they can do whatever they want, I guess, in terms of doctoring it. But if this is going to become our official emblematic flag, then let residents participate in using it. But I think this is the right version for us. It makes, that I agree with what Commissioner Hurd said, that, and it's actually a very nice logo, the mangrove tree and the way it looks, but this is more, if you were thinking, what's Martin County, it's this.
Selfish capital of the world.
And the selfish.
Is there a motion?
Yes, there is. I make a motion that this option A become our official Martin County flag with the enhancement of the blue of the water and correcting the fish silhouette to be a sailfish.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? That motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting.
Madam Chair, just for clarification, am I to move forward with an outdoor display as well, or do you want to limit it just indoor?
Did you say that the outdoor display would cost how much?
$15,000.
I think we could wait
Yeah, I think so, too.
for a little bit. Let's start with the indoor. We can put it right up here behind us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
15 grand.
Department 6 is request approval of services agreement
George,
with
excellent job.
PropLogix, Orange Data Systems, and adopt a resolution establishing a fee schedule. Mr. Doherty.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Jeff Doherty with the Building Department. This morning before you, you have a request for consideration and approval of a contract with Orange Data, as well as the adoption of a resolution setting fees, some associated with Orange Data and some with the Building Department fees. The Building Department regularly performs searches for outstanding permits, expired permits through the permit division within the Building Department, as well as outstanding code enforcement actions associated with the Code Enforcement Division. These are all done at the request of title companies when they perform real estate transactions and provide title insurance. It's a very large demand on staff to do this, and we have found a company, Orange Data, that provides this service. They integrate into our software and are able to do it remote. We surveyed 16 other jurisdictions in the state of Florida that actually use Orange Data, as well as the fees charged. Fees range from $50 to $150, with the average being approximately $96. Staff is recommending a fee of $75, which is approximately 30%, just under 30% lower than the average, so it's a competitive number. Orange Data will do all the work, collect the money, and then refund back to the county $50. That money would go half, 25 to the building search for the permits and unexpired, and 25 would go to offset costs and code enforcement for their code enforcement. This would be a way to keep staffing to a minimum and to generate revenue to offset cost. Additionally, with that is a agenda item that sets the fee of $75 because the board is responsible to set that, as well as what the Building Department does every year is review our workload, our revenue, and anticipated volume for next year. We've done that again, and we found that it'd be consistent to reduce some of our fees for the higher-end projects. and maintain our financial viability and be able to pay our overhead as well as the overhead contribution back to the county. On a very simple explanation, I would say that if you went next door to Walgreens and bought a soda, you would pay $2.50 for that bottle. But if you bought a case, you would not pay $60 for that case. You expect a discount. And it's the same as the scale economy with a larger, higher-end building. So those in the higher end got a reduction. Because of the scale economy, we have to, under Statute 553, financially independent and use our funds. We're not supposed to make profit. And at the same time, look at the entity as a whole, but look at the individual services each received as well. We've been able to maintain $89.50 for the very small items, and that's been going for over 20 years. And so we're keeping that very friendly and then keeping it consistent with the scale economy. So with that, I would request approval of the Orange Data contract and adoption of the resolution for the fees as established, and be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioner Capps.
Yeah, how about the timing for the searches? I would imagine something like this is really time sensitive, and people are, when they call and say, hey, I need a search done because I have a real estate transaction in play here, and what do you know, there are open permits for construction activity in the past, and it's holding up my closing. I need this really fast. Can I get it today? I mean, like, do these people have a good track record for producing results quickly?
Typically, the requests come from the title insurance company, not necessarily from the individual. And it depends how quickly the title insurance company was given the contract to settle. Obviously, if you have a 60, 90-day settlement, there's a lot more time. If that time is much shorter for whatever reason, if it's a very clean and there's no open ones, it's quick. If there is open or expired ones, we have to look at what the individual case is and how do we remedy it. If it's a code enforcement action, did the code enforcement resolve? Was the grass cut? Was the boat moved, or whatever it be appropriate? So they can vary all over the place, but we do get the emergency, please rush this quick, and we do get the better timing on them to clean up. So it's across the board.
Right. Like our in-house people, can respond quickly to things, but, that's always a concern when you're dealing with a third-party contractor. Are they going to be able to service people quickly enough? But if you think we're good there.
We specifically use this company because they integrate in with Accelerate software, which is hugely important. And we reference the 16 entities we reached out to check not only their service and the fees, and it was very positive.
Good. Thank you.
Further questions?
I would make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
We will now go on to Department 7, which is permission to use construction management at risk. We call it CMAR delivery method for the Hobe Sound Beach Ocean Rescue Building. Welcome back, Mr. Donahue.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Sean Donahue, General Services Director. This is a request to use CMAR for the construction delivery method for the Hobe Sound Beach Ocean Rescue Project. The reasons why we want to use this, and I think we have a presentation, Donna, to we have a presentation to show just the site plan and where we've been with this project. So this is a request to replace the two existing facilities, the restroom facility and the pavilion facility, as well as build a Hobe Sound Ocean Rescue facility on the south end of the parcel here. We would replace basically both of the older facilities in the same general location, making room a little bit for some handicap parking, and then adding the 850 square foot ocean rescue facility on the south end. Fire rescue's here if you have any questions about the design or the use of that facility. But you can see some of the concepts that we've walked through the town commissioners with, and received some very good comments back and direction. We've had two-story versions, we've had various versions of one-story, and they kind of keyed in on this one. It's a little bit more low-key. It does enhance some of the architecture of the pavilion just a little bit, and kind of gives them mostly what they're looking for. We still have to work through the commission and the town's process and site development process, so we're just at the early stages of that. The reason for this request, though, is to have our contractor on board so we can hit the ground running, because the town has an ordinance that says that we can only do construction up to November 1st and not after November 1st until I think it's April 30th. So there's a limited construction window. We want to try to hit the ground running as soon as we can in the first of the year and get as much done as possible by November. It's a little bit of a constricted site. It's between the parking lot and the dune, so we think a construction manager could help us with this.
Mr. Capps?
Yeah, I know this stuff will come later, but I wanted to mention a couple of things. On the pavilion roof in the middle, that one to me is the most important. My preference would be to make it to look exactly like the one we've got. Very simple roof structure, just up and over. The reason is because
What do you know about roofs? Come on.
simple roofs are better, less problems. But that pavilion roof is in the artwork of numerous art paintings. It's a part of the history of Hobe Sound. It's part of the mystique of our town. I mean, like when you think of iconic things in Hobe Sound, there's the J.D. Tower, and then there's the ficus tree road and that pavilion roof at the end. And I would really strongly prefer that it look just like the one we got. And the same size as well. I think that's really important. I mean, if people feel like it's smaller, and they don't have as large of a sitting area, they're going to be upset about it. And like, I don't even really like the double column poles that hold it up, just those round ones, just like what we got. I think that would really be the best way to go. And it's not controversial, it's not a change, it's just new. And it does need to be new, by the way, because if you sit under that canopy and you look up at the tongue and groove ceiling, when salt air blows against that raw wood, over the years it gets kind of like a hairy surface on it. And it has a name, doesn't it? Fuzzy wood. And it's like deterioration, and it's all over it, in numerous places. And I think the fascia boards are bad, and so it definitely needs to be replaced, but I hope it'll be exactly like, or as closely as possible to what we have, because it's in all the artwork. And then on page 662, we have a picture of a two-story structure, but this rendering that you have on the screen right now appears to be one story for all three buildings, and
You're looking at the CIP sheet for the project, and that's
Right.
a representative structure. I believe that's the
okay.
Jensen Beach structure.
So that's not necessarily what we're doing?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, Commissioner, we reviewed all of these, if you remember, with the Jupiter Island Commission.
Okay.
Right. So we'll work with you.
We want it to be functional and what the firefighters need, and Ocean Rescue needs, of course, and if they really needed something bigger, that'd be one thing, but, low-key is good for our style done in District 3.
I agree. And also, any changes that are made need to go back to the town.
Commissioner Capps should go with you to the town.
Yeah, he should.
Seems like you're going back and forth.
See,
No, we're done.
Commissioner Vargas.
On 662, page 662, it says that the
Yes.
Just having water spill
Being
there.
stricken for that.
Facility is on a septic waste disposal system, so what changes?
It currently is on septic tank. We're working with the town to repurpose an IQ main, 6-inch main that's in the ground already, adding lift stations and other structures to to give that town and give this facility the start of a sanitary sewer system.
Okay, yeah, but that's super important there, yeah, exactly.
Take
See, well, this is Johnson Beach. It's a very simple roof. I just want to point it out. Is that correct, Commissioner Capps? Simple roof.
Yeah, that's pretty simple. That's pretty simple. But that other picture is probably more in keeping with our style, which is like a one-story, smaller structure, if it's functional and if it's, meets the needs of ocean rescue.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Heatherington.
Yes, so I defer to of course, the district for the design, but as far as the delivery method, the construction management at risk, I think, is a powerful tool. I've been an advocate of it because I think it offers efficiencies, cost savings for the taxpayers, and I'm glad to see that we're using that kind of delivery model, and I think that will work very well on this project. And I would be glad to move approval for the delivery method of the CMAR for this project.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yeah, the delivery method, the CMAR, means that the contractor has an amount that cannot be exceeded. Any change orders are on their dime. Is that correct? Not the taxpayers?
We will come back to the board with a contract for a guaranteed maximum price based on the design and the time frame to get it constructed. Change orders can be applied, but they will be owner-driven. So if we wanted to change something in mid-design or mid-construction, then it would be on us, and we would issue a change order if that's what we wanted to go. But they were supposed to give us a guaranteed maximum price, and it's not to exceed. Yes, ma'am.
Did we second? I'll second.
Any further questions, comments? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Next up is Department 8, which is permission to use construction management at risk CMAR delivery method for the Martin County Sheriff's Office firearms training facility.
Correct. Same request. This is the CIP project to enhance the current facility, current property, to include a shoot house facility and as well as a lot of safety improvements. Since we looked at moving this facility or moving this property out west a while back, that was very cost prohibitive. It was, according to my calculations, it was going to be in the $14 to $17 million range just to get back to where we are today with our current facility. So we elected to stay at the current facility and enhance it. And this is one of the enhancements, is to provide a shoot house facility for the Sheriff's Office training. This would be a pole barn with a training facility underneath it so they can do live exercises. It's basically a mock building that we could do several different things with. We could have two-story sections of it, mezzanines, hidden hallways, hidden rooms where they have to breach and rescue as needed. So. And then the other enhancements would be a warehouse facility so they can store their outdoor apparatus and some other things inside that warehouse. It would have the gun cleaning station, the restrooms. This project also includes connecting to the water and wastewater systems that were just recently finished on 84th and Bush. So that's a good improvement for the overall site. And the CMAR could help us out. It's going to have to be constructed in an active shooting range for property, so I think we can get their expertise in how we can keep the facility open while we're doing some major construction on it. So I think there's benefits there.
Mr. Donahue, as I recall, over the past several years, we've spent millions of dollars upgrading this facility, and now we're proposing to dump another $7.4 million. How on earth do we get to these figures?
The CIP sheet needs to be adjusted, and I think when we come back with
Going to adjust it up or down?
I think it's going to go down a little bit. It currently shows an out-year improvement of replacing the new modular trailers that we just put in with a formal training facility, a classroom and office training facility. We can kick that can down the road because we just spent some money on adding a couple different trailers there that'll suffice for the Sheriff's Office for at least the next 10, 15 years.
What are we going to do with those trailers?
They're going to be used as a classroom facility and a office facility.
Well, it says here that we're going to build a permanent 12,000 square foot classroom.
Right.
In addition to the 2 temporary ones?
No, no, ma'am. The future project would be to replace the modulars when their end of life comes and put a permanent facility there. But we had to ramp that up because the existing classroom or existing modular, it was actually one of the old courthouse modulars from way back. That fell apart on us. We had to replace them quicker than we thought. We had a great deal with Mobile Modular to bring in a couple brand new modulars. So we've been able to bring those in, get the sheriff what he needs, and kick that future improvement down the road a little bit. So we'll adjust the CIP sheet when we come back in with a guaranteed maximum price for this project.
Commissioner Vargas?
So, if we're not building a permanent structure, what we have there now, plus if you need another modular, that would suffice, that would work. We can wait another 10 or 15 years. Is that what I'm understanding?
Let me re-explain the project a little bit again. The current request is to build a shoot house facility and a warehouse. That's in addition to the currently replaced classroom modular and office modular. There was last year a joint classroom and office modular that was very old. It was way beyond its useful life. We just replaced that facility with the 2 new modulars. So we are not asking to build a new classroom or training or office building at this time. So we will adjust the CIP sheet when we come back in with the budget for this shoot house and warehouse facility to push that way beyond the out years, 10 or 15 years or more down the road. And then we'll just concentrate on the shoot house and warehouse facility.
Any further questions?
Move approval.
Commissioner Heatherington?
That's it. I'll move. Yes.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Alrighty. Next is another Department 9, which is permission to use construction management at risk, CMAR delivery method for the supervisor of elections expansion.
Okay, this is another great candidate for CMAR. It's going to be on a very tight occupied site with an occupied building. It has a limited window of construction. I think the construction manager can help us navigate through a lot of those constrictions and get this project built much more efficiently than we could if we did design, bid, build. So that's the request.
Commissioner Heatherington?
I think this project is another good example of how I think CMAR will provide efficiencies and cost savings, and I will move approval of that delivery method for this project.
Commissioner Capps?
Yes, of the CMAR method instead of the P3 method that we talked about earlier. In both of those cases, you're dealing with a specialty contractor, right? Somebody who's kind of used to building, or no, that's more of the P3 thing, right? Specialty contractor.
Yeah, they're not so similar. The CMAR is a process that allows us to bring in the contractor, and this could be a general building contractor. But we can bring them in up front. Instead of waiting for the design to be done and the permitting to be done and then advertise for a contractor and get a bid on low bid, we can bring in the contractor up front to help us with the design, help us navigate some of the issues with building projects on occupied sites, very tight sites, and we can get that guaranteed maximum price at the end of that process versus using a low bid, which may have issues in it that come back with change orders and multiple issues down the line. So we kind of ferret out some of those problems up front with the CMAR process versus waiting for change orders to come at us later.
And the CMAR is particularly useful when you have a tight time schedule, like at Hobe Sound Beach, and also with the supervisor of elections. This work has to be done before the next election season, right? So that's what puts the time crunch on this one.
If it's a tight site, if it's a tight schedule, yes, those are great opportunities. I think CMAR is wonderful for all vertical construction. Personally, we can get rid of some of the problems as we design it, using a contractor to have that input along the way, and I think we can reduce the amount of change orders as we move forward and get projects done in a quicker fashion, a much more efficient fashion.
cheaper.
And I have one more observation about this project and the few other ones that we've just talked about earlier, the wellness clinic, the Hobe Sound Beach, the sheriff's firearms, and the supervisor of elections expansion. These are all capital projects. And these are some examples of the kinds of things that could really take a hit if we have radical tax reform from Tallahassee. If hopefully they will tone some of their ideas down, the ones that we're hearing about are so draconian that these are the kinds of things that would have to take the hit first. And if we had massive cutbacks in our budget that are forced upon us. That's something we ought to all keep in mind in our lobbying to our state delegation and writing letters to state representatives and state senators.
Commissioner Vargas.
Okay, I see here on page 672, staff is exploring various grant options. Can you do that for these other projects also? And are you doing it for this one? This is the elections.
We've worked with the supervisor. I don't think there's any grant available for us on this particular project. They did receive in the past some hardening grants to fix up that facility. But on this one, with the speed of how fast we need to get this done for her election cycle and everything, I think we're past the grant stages.
Now, I know that they are redesigning in the interior so there is an easier flow when folks are going in to cast their ballot and exiting the building. So it would be sufficient to handle this next cycle of election if some of the other variables came into place, rather than having to run and construct this facility. Is that correct?
Where they're currently doing the canvassing and the early voting, we're adding on a separate canvassing area so we can expand early voting into the current canvassing. So we have to build it so we can expand the other areas and be more efficient with the.
Right, I understand this. I was there. I looked at it. You explained thoroughly. As the supervisor of elections, what we're talking about here is construction of half of the parking lot. But where she is and your redesign would be sufficient for the next election, should that be necessary.
When we get the contractor on board and we can work through the schedule of it, yes, we're going to work around it, work through
The
it.
contractor interior.
Well, the exterior and interior, it's going to be the same contractor.
I know, but this is construction of a new building that we're talking about, in addition to the existing. But you were redesigning, modifying the inside, as I recollect.
Yes, ma'am. A portion of this project is redesigning the inside of the facility as well as building onto it to expand the facility.
We may have to wait and see, as Commissioner Capps had concern. I've always had concerns about this, about changes in funding that we're going to receive. So it would carry us through the next election.
The CIP project is fully funded at this point, that we could move forward with it if we can come in within this budget.
We may have to cut back, though, as he mentioned, too, so.
As directed.
We have to take that into account. We can't be oblivious. We can't be blind to it, so.
Commissioner Capps.
Yeah, I remember taking a tour and our supervisor of elections, Vicki Davis, seemed to suggest that she has a real problem with early voting. The popularity of early voting is what caused this surge of sort of a mob scene in that small area there. So, and she expressed that it was quite urgent, and so.
Mr. Campy.
I would echo Commissioner Capps's comments, having served just recently on the canvassing board. I know that Ms. Davis and her staff have really, over several years, in such a small footprint, have maximized what has happened. in results in terms of voting, especially as Commissioner Cap said, early voting is much more popular than it used to be. But also for us as a county in Florida to make sure that she has everything that she needs for the consistency and that people feel confident in the accuracy and the legitimacy of the votes. So I know that this is something that she has been working on very carefully for a long time. I think this one, out of the three that we've discussed thus far, although all three are important, is the most important. So I would make a motion to accept.
Commissioner Heatherington.
Second that motion. Echo those comments, having served on the canvassing board a number of times and very much enjoyed it. We are fortunate to have a supervisor of elections who has one of the best reputations in the state for election integrity and security. And if you've served and you've got those ballots stacked up in every tiny little space in that canvassing room, used and maximized to the hilt, I think it's definitely an urgent necessity. It needs to be done between elections, so I would gladly second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. We will take up our last item, which is Department 10, Environmental Lands Acquisition Program. Approval of properties recommended by the Environmental Lands Oversight Committee, ELOC, as the 2024 sales tax program acquisitions. Mr. Houston, good morning. Afternoon.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Houston. Oh, I guess good afternoon, yeah. Senior Project Manager in the Martin County Environmental Resource Division to talk about our land acquisition program and where we're at. So as we're all aware, in 2024, we passed a referendum here in Martin County that authorizes sales tax to help acquire environmentally sensitive lands. And as a part of that referendum, it required us to establish an Environmental Lands Oversight Committee, or ELOC, whose purpose was to review and rank proposals to then be brought before you. And our Oversight Committee met on September 5th, 2025, and recommended the acquisition of 16 properties. So staff is here today to seek your approval to authorize the use of sales tax funds for these acquisitions. So this map is meant to give you an idea of what properties were looked at by the Oversight Committee, where they are, and how many acres. So in total, we looked at 16 properties containing over 9,000 acres of land for conservation. And these properties were represented in all the 4 acquisition zones that we had previously established, which, as you might recall, included the Indian River Lagoon South, Palmar, Loxalucy, and the Blue Ways. And the acreage of those properties vary quite a bit, from as much as 3,500 acres in the Palm Beach Heights or Palmar area to a single acre out in our beach areas at Perry Beach Addition. This is just meant to outline the process that we use for properties that come in as potential acquisitions. So they have to be nominated and submitted to staff. We then review those proposals and see if they are concurrent with our ordinance, and also that we have a willingness to sell from the landowner. We then, if we have enough information, we then take those proposals with supporting information and provide it to our oversight committee, who then review and rank the meeting. And once that happens, we bring it before you to review and vote on whether to proceed with acquisition. And that's the step where we're at now. Now, it's important for me to say that this isn't the final step in terms of acquiring any particular property. This really will then just give us the go-ahead to do due diligence, to do negotiations, to do all the things that we need to do to then bring those properties back as final acquisitions to you at some point in the future. And that's what's outlined on the bottom of this flow chart. So once again, these ranking meetings are for our oversight committee to review information on our nominated parcels and to fill in a project ranking form. They then make recommendations to you, the Board of County Commissioners, on whether to proceed with acquisition of those properties. And I also need to highlight that we are working with the Florida Natural Areas Inventory, or FNA, which is a part of the Florida State University, and their job is to conduct environmental assessments. They also work with the state to do their assessments for the Florida Forever program. They help us to evaluate properties that have been nominated for acquisition under our program, and they provide us all different kinds of data, including habitat quality, greenways and wildlife corridors, management needs of any of these proposed acquisitions, and shoreline protection areas. And then this is what their form looks like that each ELOC member has for each property. So there are 10 different criteria that we look at. Those different criteria are weighted according to certain metrics. So for instance, if something is within a certain project footprint, that gets our highest weighted score out of any of our different criteria, or rare and listed habitats. So it just provides some weights for us to then use to help come up with our final scores. And once they have provided that, we put them all together so we can come up for a total score for each property.
Mr. Hafter's name is spelled wrong.
Oops. Yes, thank you for that. So, I also want to, at this point, call out the Rural and Family Lands Program. It's a state program that was founded in 2001, and they do perpetual agricultural conservation easements. It's important to note that these are conservation easements, so they prevent development on any of the properties that these easements are used for. However, the primary purpose of these types of easements is to protect working agricultural lands while also conserving natural resources. The land remains in private ownership and in production, and these easements are purchased by the state and approved by the governor and cabinet. And there's no public access requirements for any of these properties. And I wanted to do a little comparison because of, as you might recall, the Barbie Ranch property, we used a conservation easement, but it was with the Florida Forever program. And the difference is that the Florida Forever program's primary mission is to protect natural resources, water, habitat, scenic values, and recreation, while the Rural and Family Lands Program is primarily designed to keep working agricultural lands working in agriculture, while also protecting natural resource values. So with that, we wanted to briefly go through each of the different properties just to give you a little sneak peek into what these areas are, how big they are, and where they are. So the first one I'm bringing up is the Palmar Acquisition Zone, and we have 5 nominated properties that fell within the Palmar Acquisition Zone, which includes SS Farms, the Thal family property, Palm Beach Heights, which is also Palmar, Elise J., and J.R. Stewart Land. And I know you are well familiar with the Palmar area, as we've brought this up many, many times. But the green area that you show in the area that's also been circled in red represents the properties that we have acquired, including with the recent settlement agreement. However, areas without polygons are privately owned, and these are the ones that we would be looking to acquire through the sales tax program. And overall, there's roughly 3,500 acres of unacquired private lands that could be potential acquisitions in this zone. The second one is the Thal Family Partnership. This is one of our larger contiguous pieces that was brought forward. It's a 1,499 acre property that has a large cypress and slough wetland systems. It is a part of this very large connected system of greenway that extends all the way from Lake Okeechobee to the Atlantic Ocean. And it includes, it is adjacent to Hungerland, and it would be the missing link between Hungerland Wildlife and Environmental Area and Corbett, which is just south of this property.
Is any portion of Thal already in conservation?
No. The next one is a little bit different. This is the J.R. Stewart Land property. So this property is adjacent to Hungerland. It is next to the area, the Palm Beach Heights area, or Palmar, and just to the northwest is the Trailside development. The property is actually currently under a conservation easement as a private mitigation bank, although the owner has taken out very few of the mitigation credits on that property. And the reason why we brought it forward is because it's in the middle of everything, and it could provide recreational opportunities, it could become a part of Hungryland, so there is some value in the property, even though it's even though it has a conservation easement on it at this time.
Is it the entire
Go ahead.
property that has the conservation easement or just portions of it?
Correct, the entire property. The next one that was brought forward is Elise J, and this one is to the north of that J.R. Sturt land property. The unique thing is that to the north of that is Harmony Ranch, which has already been acquired and is being protected. So with the acquisition of Elise J, we could have a contiguous conservation network that extends from Harmony Ranch down into Hungryland. And it could be a part of Hungryland Wildlife and Environmental Area. Our next property is SS Farms. This one is 53 acres. It is primarily pasture and is actively being ranched. It is just north of the area that's our Palm Beach Heights, Palmar complex. And this is the first property that we're bringing forward that is a part of that Rural and Family Lands program that we mentioned. So this was submitted to Rural and Family Lands for a conservation easement, and they've asked the county, Rural and Family Lands has asked the county to review it as a potential partnership with them. So we will partner with them to provide an agricultural easement on this property. And also of note and of importance is that the Jupiter Indian Town grade actually bisects this property. So acquiring an easement could potentially be used to help to create trail access through this property, which has been a long-term goal of the Board of County Commission. Next up, we have the Indian River Lagoon South Acquisition Zone, and the only nominated property we had in this cycle is Turnpike Dairy. However, I will say that Barbie Ranch, which is in the process of being acquired as a conservation easement, is also in IRL South. So we've already approved one project in the zone, and this is the next one. So it's a 488-acre property. It's primarily pasture on 84% of the program. It's another one that's been submitted to the Rural and Family Lands Program and has asked the county to participate as a partner in acquisition of the conservation easement. It is adjacent and next to Alapata Flats, which has significant. And I would say the development potential of this property is maybe higher than some of the other ones on our list, just because of its location. Next up, we have our Loxalucy acquisition zone, and we had 6 potential proposed acquisitions in this zone, pretty much around the entire area of Loxalucy. The first of which is Whitworth Farms. This is a 2,262-acre property that's a mixture of pastures, high-quality pine flatwoods, hydric hammock. It would also help to provide a protected land corridor that would extend all the way from Cove Road all the way down to County Line. So south of Bridge Road, all that property has been protected as agricultural easements. So that area can't be, you can't have constructed in that area. But in addition, this would then secure areas north of Bridge Road, extending all the way up if you include Halpatioke to Cove Road. So it's a unique opportunity. And in addition, and also of utmost importance, is it is actually bisected by the South Fork of the St. Lucie River. And it would help to create an ecological corridor, and it would help create an optimal boundary for Atlantic Ridge State Park. Next up, we have Point Santa Gardens. That is an area, it's 225 acres in size. There are individual lots that have been subdivided in that area, and it's a mixture of government and privately owned lots. It includes pine flatwoods, depression marshes, and a large sluice system. The importance of this area is it helps to buffer Atlantic Ridge State Park, and it could potentially have hundreds of homes could be constructed in this area since it's already been subdivided.
What are the shaded lots?
The shaded lots are ones that we have acquired, actually. Next up, we have the Leonard parcel, and this is the final of the 3 that we're we have been asked to review as a part of the Rural and Family Lands Program. It's a 229-acre property that's a mixture of pastures and large cypress sloughs. There is actually, that's a mistake. There is not, we're requesting an agricultural easement and with active cattle ranching on the property. And it's not contiguous to any public lands, but it could create a greenway to Jonathan Dickinson State Park. We have Rogers Atlantic Ridge parcel. It's a 3-acre property that's dominated by wetland systems. It is directly adjacent to the Medalist property, which is a part of Atlantic Ridge. And it's primarily disturbed wetlands with a very small area of scrubby flatwoods. We have another property on the south of Bridge Road. It's the Rogers Conservation Fund parcel. It's 4.5 acres, and it could help link Jonathan Dickinson and Atlantic Ridge State Parks. It has been acquired by the Conservation Fund, a private nonprofit whose goal is to protect and conserve lands. And it could be used to support the restoration of Kitchen Creek. We could potentially look at providing some kind of flowway feature through the property that would help to capture some of the water that goes into the Loxahatchee system. We then have the Petway property. It's a 20-acre property that is in the eastern flowway of Kitchen Creek. It could help to restore wetlands in a portion of Jonathan Dickinson State Park and support the restoration of the northwest fork of the Loxahatchee River, which is a comprehensive Everglades restoration project. And our final area is our Blue Ways acquisition zone, and we have 4 properties that were nominated, 3 of which are in the same area for acquisition. And the first one to discuss is the Jane Wild parcel. So this is in kind of a unique location because it sits between the South Fork of the St. Lucie River and the St. Lucie Waterway. So that one is highlighted in red, and it would help to protect St. Lucie River shorelines. The second is the Bernstein property, which is the one that's highlighted in blue. That one is 3 acres in size. And also all of these properties would be part of a contiguous county system of conservation lands. It would fit in with lands that we've previously acquired within the Blue Ways corridor. And the final is the Kresser property, which is adjacent to Oxbow Preserve. It's 3 acres in size, and it's primarily mangrove swamp. The owner of that property actually has an easement that could allow them to construct a roadway through existing county preserve land, which is our Oxbow Preserve. So they could have the right to build a road directly through an area that we already are managing as a part of our conservation network. And finally, we have the Perry Beach Addition property that's our smallest. It's 1 acre in size, and it includes beach habitats and mangroves. And it's unique in that it extends all the way across Hutchinson Island, and that is adjacent to an existing county preserve, which is Clifton S. Perry Beach. So moving on, just highlighting some of the state plans that come into play with this. First, we have the CERP plan, Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan. And in particular in this area, we have the Indian River Lagoon South that is designed to help capture runoff that is impairing and negatively affecting our St. Lucie River estuary. The purpose of the CERP Natural Lands Program is to help offset lands that have been impacted by CERP by acquiring other lands and conserving those areas. The properties in question were approved as acquisition priorities by the federal government in the 2007 WRDA bill. And any acquisitions in this zone can be used by the state as a match for their cost share with the federal government. So that money goes even further in that the federal government would then spend that amount of money on one of their CERP projects that they're working on. We have 2 Elise J and Whitworth farms that are directly in IRL South, and the Turnpike Dairy project is adjacent to a CERP project, so it could actually potentially be added to their ledger as well. Next up, we have the Florida Wildlife Corridor, which is a system of state conservation lands that creates wildlife corridors and areas for wildlife to move throughout the state. And this would be a part of the Florida Wildlife Corridor segment that runs from West Palm Beach to Central Florida, and it is listed as a priority 2 according to Florida Wildlife Corridor program. And finally, we have our Florida Forever program. And within the Palmar Florida Forever project boundary, we have 4 properties that fall within that area, including J.R. Stewart Land, SS Farms, Palm Beach Heights, or Palmar, and the Thal Family Partnership. And it is important to note that the Thal Family Partnership is actually listed as an essential acquisition according to their program. In our Loxalucy footprint, we have 3 properties that fall within the Atlantic Ridge Florida Forever program, including Whitworth Farms, the Rogers Treasure Coast, the Conservation Fund property, and the Petway property. So with that being said, we can get to the rankings. So our Environmental Lands Oversight Committee went and ranked all these properties based on the metrics that we have provided, and here's the scores that they came up with. Starting all the way at the top with Whitworth Farms being the top priority according to them, and the Rogers Conservation Fund property being the lowest ranked. However, it is important to note that the Oversight Committee recommended that all of these properties be approved as potential acquisitions. So at this point, once we get commissioner approval to move these projects forward, we're going to look at different things in terms of determining what properties we acquire and when. And that can include things like the threat of development and whether or not the property could be sold to another entity. Its status and potential for funding partners like the FDACs, Florida Forever, Water Management District, Land Trusts, or NGOs. We have to look at whether the cost to acquire those properties outstrip the amount of money that we've already collected. And we have to look at the size of the properties, because some of the properties that are smaller would be easier to acquire than some of these larger scale projects that would require more funding partners and more effort on our part to secure. And that is the end of my presentation.
Nicely done. You've been busy.
I just want to say that I have great confidence in the process for these acquisitions and the people involved. I just think our staff and our ELOC committee is incredibly impressive. The depth of thought that you all have put into this, the scoring criteria, all the data and analysis, it's really impressive. And we appreciate your work. And, when I think of the Martin County difference, the word conservation is what it's all about, right? That's what we're about in Martin County. And I think about some of the founding fathers and mothers of our county and the people who made the largest impact in setting the course for what Martin County has remained all of these years. I think of people like Nathaniel Reed, who was the Assistant Secretary of the Interior back in the 70s, I think, and a very famous environmentalist, Jupiter Island resident. And I think of Maggie Herchella, a very powerful figure in our community. And I think about how they're probably looking down right now, and they're very pleased. So good work to all. And I would go ahead and move approval of whatever we're asking for here. What is the actual motion?
And there's one addition that we need to make as well that will be provided by Sebastian in regards to something to consider as we as a step moving forward. So, Sebastian?
Sure, if I may, Madam Chair. One tool that staff would like to employ as part of the initial due diligence process is a non-binding letter of interest that would come from the county to a prospective seller or funding partner. And the purpose of this letter is to just show the county's interest in the property, obviously, and indicate that it has received approval both from the ELOC and initial approval from the Board of County Commissioners. This letter of interest will fall short of a typical letter of intent that you may be familiar with. It's typically used in commercial real estate, in that we will not be providing a sale price because that is dependent on the appraisals that we don't yet have in hand. but this will allow us to satisfy at least one seller and one funding partner, indicating the county's desire to move forward. So we would appreciate guidance on your preference for that letter being signed either by the board or the county administrator.
Send it from the board.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Send it from the board.
Yeah, I will amend my motion that it be sent from the board as well. And now the motion is to approve, what is it, how was it phrased?
Include.
It's on the screen.
Oh, there it is. There we go. The recommendation there with the additional non-binding letter of interest signed by the board.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vargas?
No, I mean, that was my question. I didn't want to be roped into something that was not going to be beneficial to Martin County and, of course, our taxpayers. So we're just doing a look-see. If it works, it does. If not, shake hands and go a different direction with the property owner. And I see the two types, how you put here, either being a fee simple or land conservation easement. One of the two would take title to that, so.
And Mr. Houston, you make this look very, very easy. It's a very polished presentation, and it makes it look like it was effortless. And I know that you were looking over an entire county to determine eligibility for lands, and it's a wonderful summation of all the properties that you had to evaluate over the last several months. And something that we have not utilized in the past is FDACs. And John Mayle and I went to Tallahassee a couple weeks ago and met with the Rural and Family Lands Conservation people, and boy, are they eager to provide funding for farm easements. So this is a relatively new partnership for us, and they're extremely enthusiastic. John proposed 3 projects, and they were very receptive, and that was their first look at them too. So we now have new enthusiastic partners, and I'm sure that we will work closely with them in the future to acquire additional easements, additional farming easements, which are terrific too, because we certainly support productive farming in Martin County. Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. I agree with our chair. Mr. Houston, while you were speaking, you'd be an excellent real estate agent because you really were hitting the points. I was writing things down. First off, you and Mr. Mayle are leading our incredible staff with legal and everyone else that's involved, especially then with the ELOC. And the individuals, you went past it pretty quickly, but the individuals that are on that committee are really rock stars and passionate. The 4 words that I wrote down were knowledge, preparation, professionalism, and it's obvious of your passion for this. I think our internal staff and the organization, the committee, brings an incredible level of legitimacy to the process that could potentially go off the rails in certain circumstances, and I don't see that being a situation here. I know that when we originally even talked about this sales tax option, that there was always going to be people that are concerned, but I think the process of getting it now, an award-winning process, of getting the folks to agree, but now once it's been agreed, I think the residents can feel comfortable knowing that the process is remarkably great. And I think that we'll all benefit from the possibility of acquiring some of these. The push and pull of development versus not development is always a challenge because we talk about property rights, and when people own properties, they're allowed to do what they, are allowed to do. The real only legitimate way to stop that is what we're doing here. And I think, again, Martin County will lead the state in how it's done. Not just the fact that we're doing it, but how we're doing it. So thank you very much.
Commissioner Heatherington.
Thank you very much. You made that look very effortless, and I know that you and John have put in many, many, many hours, so congratulations. I think the voters would be very proud and impressed between you two, your staff and your department and the ELOC, the way the transparent process is working, so thank you.
Also about the composition of the ELOC, it's a really, really fun group, really engaged. I know that they had a lot of fun evaluating the properties, and we all think of Vicki Davis as being our super competent supervisor of elections. She's also a native daughter. She's, her family is from Western Martin County. She's intimate with the owners and the properties, and we think of her as our supervisor, and she's way more.
Their chairman's great, too.
I was talking to Vicki Davis a while back, and her family is the one that started providing oranges and orange juice at the Turnpike Plazas.
Yeah.
That's sort of their family's claim to fame. That was very interesting.
So we have a motion and a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address us at the end of our meeting? Commissioner comments. Commissioner Vargas?
No, I think I'm set for today.
How about Commissioner Capps?
I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner Campy?
I'm set.
And Heatherington?
All set.
Mr. Donaldson?
I just wanted to announce, I know that our, we had some recent awards, and I'll bring them back at next meeting, but just wanted to thank our staff. Susan Corrs certainly got an award, too, for American Planners Association, second place.
She's
for
here.
for Great Places in Florida's Choice Award, Palm City Place and Patio, and very proud of that. You've got the, Susan, maybe you can say a few comments on your great achievements, and want to thank you for all your hard work. Yes,
Good afternoon, everyone. We did receive a certificate for finalist of Greatest Places in Florida for the patio and Palm City Place. And then we went to the Florida Redevelopment Association Conference and came home with 3 awards. They all look like that, so we didn't bring all 3, although they say something different. Each year, the FRA presents what they call the Roy F. Kenzie Awards, and that honors excellence across various categories. And they give those to communities and organizations across the state of Florida. And they celebrate a diverse array of all different kinds of innovative projects and initiatives. And for us this year, important to note that they separate the awards into large and small. So large cities and counties, small cities and counties. Because of our population, which is how they base it, we are in with large cities and counties. So we're competing, I know, like probably by 2,000 people. So we're competing with Miami and Tampa and Orlando and Lauderdale and all of the places that have really superb programs and lots of funding. So we brought home 3, one for our annual report, which was called Live from Martin County. It's FY24, and that was a sort of digital platform that we used and had videos and lots of media and was a lot of fun, I think, for people. We won Capital Projects and Infrastructure category, large city, for the patio at Palm City Place. And the biggest surprise was the President's Award, which we also won this year, and that was also for the patio at Palm City Place. That award is really the highest recognition that you can get in this milieu, and it's really what they say is the best project across all categories in the state for this past year. So that was very exciting, but as we know, none of these things happen in a vacuum. So we'd like to thank a few people. Many sincere thanks and gratitude to all of those involved. The patio was designed by Gian Grande Engineering, and it was built by DePompeo Construction. And it really would not have happened without county departments Public Works, Parks and Rec, OMB were the three big ones that really supported us all the way. And then tons of support from the Old Palm City Neighborhood Advisory Committee, the CRA Board, the Board of County Commissioners, and the Palm City community as well. They really were a driving force behind a lot of this. The amazing CRA staff up on the fourth floor, all of them were crucial to the success of this particular project. But I'd like to call out two people, which I think were the key ingredients to make all of this really successful. One is Commissioner Campy. One. He got us started with matching our DEP grant with his commission funds. And that really got the project rolling. And I will say that he was out there all the time.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
8 a.m., 5 p.m. weekends, walking the site with us, and really very involved with the planning and the development of the project, really throughout its life. And the second person is Jordan Pastorius, who was just immersed in the project from the very beginning. And if none of you know the genesis, it's a little bit of an interesting story. We had an NAC member who basically sketched it on a napkin. And that is what you see out there today, which is pretty amazing. Like his idea, Jordan took it and ran with it. He knows every inch of it. And I think that his talent and perseverance really is unbelievable. He has taken projects from inception to awards, not this time, this once, but 3 times. This is his third project that he's done that with. So thank you all very much for letting me go on and on. Thank you.
I have one other item. Mr. Stokas received a letter from Bob Daniels from the Sewell's Point wanting to ask the commission to have a joint meeting. However, there's no agenda or schedule to talk about, so my suggestion is for me to respond back or have George respond back to Mr. Daniels that we would need more information on what a joint meeting would be referencing. And I would suggest that if the joint meeting is specifically about items that the board has already made a decision on, then there's no reason to have a joint meeting. But that would be my communication through to the town manager, if that's acceptable to the board.
Mr. Campy.
I feel similarly, but not exactly the same. I think that if a municipality is requesting an opportunity for us to meet jointly, their members can't meet separate of their own meetings. We can't. I think most of us have received phone calls or lobbying from professionals and our colleagues that are elected. I am absolutely in favor of meeting with them, even if it's on an issue that we might feel that is resolved. However, if they want to meet and they don't think it's resolved, then I think it would, in my opinion, be still appropriate to meet, because those are our friends and colleagues that are, and our own constituents that live there. And I'd like to be given the opportunity to hear what they have to say to all of us collectively. I personally think that a lot of what they were asking for was reasonable. I know that it is, multiple ways that we can look at this, but I'm not in favor of telling them we wouldn't meet.
Mr. Vargas.
Yeah, I have to agree with Commissioner Campy. I think it's important that we resolve to sit down, have a chat with them and see what's on their mind. And I think definitely send the letter and see what it is you want to talk about, but I don't want to close the door. Yeah.
Commissioner Capps.
Yeah, I think we should hear them out. And I'd rather err on the side of that than closing the channels of communication. So I'm into that as well.
Okay, let's meet.
Anything else?
No, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Ms. Elder.
I just wanted to thank the board again for the privilege of being county attorney. And Commissioner Hurd, from the bottom of my heart, I want to apologize if I did anything to you in the past or anything to any employee in the past to make it think I'm biased or would try to ever make a stressful situation more stressful. I am truly sorry if I ever gave that impression. So I just wanted to clear the air for that. But I'm looking forward to being county attorney, and I'm going to do a really good job for you guys.
We're looking forward to having you be county attorney.
Thank you. Would anyone from the public like to address us? We are adjourned.